I was gonna ask, but I didn't feel like asking. I was like, surely we can figure it out without asking.
That's what happens when you just get into it immediately, kind of thrown off the plank. But we're here, Dark, and we're here, everybody who's watching. Welcome to In the Zone 52, and we are going to get into it. But before we do, I am Sasu here with Dark. Dark, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I hope you are doing great as well, Sasu. But I don't feel like we have a lot of time to actually get into more specifics of that, because not only we do have a bit of a delayed start here, getting some tech issues figured out here. We did unfortunately miss this first game from Eclipse against BlankZ here, the first game going to Eclipse, but we are rapidly moving into our second game here on Wahoo World.
Yes, and it feels like these are kind of wonky picks to start with, having to go on brine water, then a massive stage like Wahoo has to be kind of whiplash. But it's almost like now that Eclipse is at the set point, we missed that first game, and that's unfortunate, but it's almost a little bit more exciting here, because it's like you don't know how the last one went, you don't have that information as to what we should expect going into this next game. So I'm certainly, Eclipse is just slightly higher on the seed at our 15th seed versus BlankZ, who is our 18th seed, but you never know what will happen on a wonky place like Wahoo World. All you need is a misplaced wipe, and then that could be game.
Yeah, no, I mean, Wahoo World is definitely just an awkward thing to try and fight and play around. As you said, just one wipe can really make or break a lot of your pushing power here on this stage specifically. So it's very much going to be seeing exactly how these two teams will be playing around that, how they will be playing around with one another here. As we are heading into our second game of this set, first game of the day, folks, Flat Zone Wahoo World. We'll be seeing exactly what's being brought to the table this time around.
Yes, and we can see here some interesting comps. I guess nothing too interesting out of BlankZ if you're familiar with them. Of course, they have that heavy edit coming out of Pyro, which we just about usually see, but I have to bring attention to the other side. A Zimmy, which is going to immediately try and shred that bubble there, along with S-Blast. I feel like we don't see as much S-Blast after its nerf, Dark.
Yeah, no, bit of a drop-off in presence here, but still a very effective weapon if you know how to play properly around it. But unfortunately for BlankZ, though, they're not being able to actually fight properly against the S-Blast here, getting zoned out quite well here, as Eclipse now has taken 50 points already right out of the gate. A solid hold here against all angles, watching every single point of entry. It's a bit of a hard press to try and push through this from BlankZ here, but the US pushes online, reduced to the Resider stack with the tactical, gets thrown to the try and flip the zone, but it's not enough. We do see the bubble being used here against BlankZ, from BlankZ to try and flip the zone once again, but still a bit of a push and pull before they're finally able to take the zone.
Yeah, I think BlankZ just about expended every single resource that they could in order to get that zone back. They used all of their specials, and it paid off for them. And speaking of paying off, look how many members they've gotten down. 3 of them. It's just going to be the Zimmy who's left. But if it's anyone who's going to be left, I would say it's great for it to be your Zimmy. You see that they put up that bubble. Everybody was able to jump back in. And when you don't have something like beacons or something to really protect you in getting back into mid, I think having something like a Zimmy really pays off here.
Yeah, being just a good mid-line anchor here. The Zimmy's able to just keep up the pressure, keep up the presence there to hold this front line. And even now, BlankZ is still kind of struggling to maintain this zone here. They did lose it for a brief moment there, and they're still not quite out of the water just yet. There's still members from Eclipse still fighting it out here, and this elbow using their specials to try and keep up this pressure here. Multi going in, unfortunately not finding a pick they need, and now BlankZ is slowly losing ground as Eclipse takes control of the zone once again.
Yes, they move in, and you have the age-old story kind of in the corner there. Hobna, rather Pyro, on that Splatling, trying to get something going on the pen. Not quite going to come out on the other side of that. just Bronx getting a trade. I think that's going to be super important. But the Zimmy, I was
There it
saying it
goes.
was important for the Zimmy to be left, but they made sure to clean that up. So Pancake here, Benny, going to get rid of the last person that was there. And now it is up to Eclipse to storm that zone and see how they can get back in here, especially because BlankZ has now finished getting through their penalty.
Yeah, penalty points are gone. Pressures are being thrown out. The Booyah Bomb was thrown and traded with the re-slider there, but the triple ink strikes comes out and does flip the zone, but not in time. Unfortunately for them, the lead is in BlankZ's favor here, but it's just utter mayhem here on Eclipse's side. There's so many members trying to approach from different angles here. Also, here trying to make sure that at least this left flank, this left corner is watched to not allow Eclipse to be able to as an access point of entry here, but they're still not be able to hold it just quite well. The Booyah Bomb is thrown once again as Eclipse is just sort of pushing BlankZ bit by bit, but two go down, and BlankZ has a solid hold here to potentially be able to get a win.
Yeah, it feels as though Eclipse is just kind of being rushed. They have the specials necessary to take this zone, and you see those strikes come out. They try to contest it, but they don't quite get it just yet. But 3 of these picks is going to put them in the position to finally take back this zone and control. Asuna just jumps in to their death, unfortunately, there. But if you look at Eclipse, they have that bubble to keep that space. They also have strikes and a Booyah Bomb. So really just kind of spacing things out, waiting things out, and throwing their specials at the zone should do well for them. But BlankZ has been really good at just rushing them down and undoing their defenses to the point where even though it kind of seems so simple, Dark, they've really been struggling to kind of like use that strat.
Yeah, I mean, an attempt there to try and rush now does work in their favor to flip the zone, but the Booyah Bomb comes out in response, stacking that with the splashdown to respond in return of that. Now, BlankZ has control of the zone here. Eclipse is a bit of a struggle state right now as they're scattered about. They don't have proper presence here in mid. The triple ink strikes comes out once again to try and flip the zone back in their favor, get those penalty points back on over to BlankZ, stacking that with the bubbler there. They are in control. We might see an overtime scenario here, but BlankZ needs to make sure they can at least neutralize this zone by the time we hit 0 to be able to get this game won on their side. I do think with that bubbler there, it's going to be a possibility, and one by one they go down and BlankZ takes this game.
Yeah, I think unfortunately the economy of attention was really on BlankZ's side there. It could have been a bit of a closer game. That's where the unfortunately is coming from me. I love going into overtime and seeing something a bit closer, but I think that Eclipse didn't quite have their eye on the prize when it came to who it was they needed to pick off. They just focused on painting rather than getting rid of the people contesting the paint. And that's ultimately what got BlankZ the end and stopped overtime from triggering.
Yeah, no, I mean, and in the beginning as well, Eclipse had such a good solid lead, such a good solid hold on the zone here, on mid, sort of pushing BlankZ to the limit in terms of the time. But with BlankZ's approach here, just constantly going in one by one, taking these really scrappy fights to just pull and divert all this attention from Eclipse, kind of just was their downfall at the end, just being able to constantly apply this constant pressure here, and that's what ended up saving them at the end. And especially with this wipe out there to really try and give Eclipse a proper reset to allow BlankZ to properly set up here in mid. I think what kind of swung things back into their favor.
Yes, you can see at the end there, Ellie choosing instead to reposition instead of trading out their teammate, I think, unfortunately, is what kind of sealed the deal for them. But fortunately, that is going to be the 1-1, Dark. So we do head into that third game in this best of 3. And it's going to be Barnacle and Dime, which I think is very similar to Wahoo World and how it's just a massive stage that can be extremely punishing if your team does get wiped out on.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the same vein as well from Wahoo World that to try and look up for here is just like all these points of entry to the zone, to mid, to being able to actually have a good and proper fan out of your presence, at least in mid. You know, once you do, maybe if you get a wipe out there and you do are properly reset, force back to your side of the map, you know, the enemy team moves up and now you are stuck in that very notorious chokehold to try and get through to mid proper here. But in 1-1 game, it's still anyone's side as well. So we're going to be seeing exactly if there's going to be any shaking up for the weapon lineup from either side. And I don't think there's anything new here.
Nope, both of these teams sticking to their guns metaphorically and physically here, I believe. So right off the top, I think we have a scuffle in that corner. Ellie and Multi going head to head, Ellie coming up on top. And I think at the end of the day, it's not going to be about who gets the zone first. You see that there is control for Eclipse, but it is going to be who gets the person advantage, and especially because Asuna gets that person, making it 3 people down, a delayed wipe as a matter of fact on Eclipse. Now they're moving up and they're looking to get this lockout.
Yeah, a good flip on BlankZ to try and leverage into their favor here. Now they're trying to get Eclipse locked out here for as long as they can. A good bubble on the left-hand side there to stall out some more time, keep their momentum, and that sort of nook over there here. And we see on the right-hand side, we see the splashdown coming out. The S-Class is unfortunately taken out, and 50 points already gone. Now the Eclipse Asuna finally going down here, and Eclipse moving in quickly to try and retake the stage. But Multi coming in from out of nowhere on the backline from Eclipse here. They do unfortunately lose the zone here, but there's still the Dapple dualies behind to try and pull out that attention from everyone else.
Yes, but Multi does get out of dodge there to reset, goes down, but I think as long as they're able to not stagger and really hold their space, not end up in the position that they were able to just put Eclipse in, they should be okay. But in the meantime, Eclipse has the zone. They should be able to pick up the lead if they don't have any issues. There's the lead switching over, and now I think that Eclipse is playing a little bit more careful, maybe not careful enough, seeing as though 2 people just went down, and this is no doubt going to be BlankZ's zone retaking here. But yeah, they could have maybe played that a little bit stronger, but I can't knock people for being too careful, Dark.
Yeah, and especially with how BlankZ has been playing so far, you know, you do want to have some level of carefulness whenever you're trying to hold against them. But unfortunately, it kind of backfired a bit, and now BlankZ is once again at the front of the wheel here, trying to keep Eclipse down for the count for as long as they can. They do have Tactical online right now, however, though, so it could be something they can try and leverage, especially against how aggressive Multi has been playing there. They're getting taken out from 1-for-1 trades on either side, but BlankZ is slowly losing a little bit of ground in there. But Butler trying to use here to try and make some semblance of hold here, and they do lose the lead, but it's sort of slipping away from Eclipse Sasu.
Yes, all this purple paint is going to make it practically impossible to get in, and another thing that's making it impossible is just how big this place is, because the strikes come out, and at the last second, I have seen so many teams on the wrong side of the timing down from the zone, but today, Eclipse stays alive. They enforce a 65 tick penalty on BlankZ, and they are still alive in this final game of the best of 3. So they move up, not all the way like we've seen out of BlankZ, playing a little bit careful while they're just about ready to get out of their penalty, but it's getting close here, Dark.
Yeah, and Colony is gone at this point. You're running out of time. You need to make a move here, quick and easy. Multi using the reslider, doesn't find anyone, and 3 now from Eclipse. This is BlankZ's opportunity here to be able to take the zone and at least be the What? Hold on.
Wow. I gotta say it, Dark. Here we just saw a ball be fumbled live in front of us. Everyone from Eclipse went down. No doubt we're probably going to see that on the replay, but every single member, not every single member, the pen was still up on Eclipse, so we just thought, hey, it's gonna be a change of hands, and BlankZ just didn't paint the zone.
No, I think what happened there was a bit of a desync from the server, because at the end there, but when time was called, the zone instantly flipped to BlankZ's favor. I think they were painting it, but the server wasn't synced up to it. So because it was still under Eclipse's name at the end there, they ended up winning that game.
We can see it here on the replay. Here is when I think Eclipse just kind of brought themselves back at
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
end. It was coming close. This is where 3 members go down. The pen comes out of that. Multi, I think, was
Yeah, they were painting.
yeah, they were painting, but they were lagging a little bit there.
Yeah, and then the zone flips here. That's so. Oh my.
Unfortunate. That is a complete. I think blanks maybe. I think they're European. They're a European team. So it may have literally. Well, let me check Eclipse. I think Eclipse is also European. So there's no there's no good reason as to why something like that happens. It's just unfortunate when there's a little bit of lag.
Yeah.
So maybe no balls fumbled, but that's
I've
horrifying to
still never
witness.
seen that before. Like, I don't have no words. I have no words. Like, what do you say about that? You on your side, you made the proper play. You're doing everything right, but the game just said no. You know?
The game just said no. The Splatoon gods have reckoned with it, you know? In all fairness, maybe you think, hey, if we had just retaken faster, then it wouldn't have
Yeah.
even been an issue, but I mean, I'm still reeling from that at the end of the day that, this desync issue is what stops you from essentially doing what Eclipse did, because Eclipse was able to stop the end of the game at the
Yeah.
last second, but the Splatoon gods favored them in that moment, I suppose, and not so much blank. So they're going to have to think about, how to gain the favor of the Splatoon gods in the losers bracket, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's gotta sting as an ending there. But hey, you're not out of it just yet. That I feel like that would have hurt more if you were in losers bracket and that happened. But
Oh my god. At least there's a safety net
regardless.
for them. We might
Yeah,
see
yeah,
them
right.
later.
Regardless, though, we do have a quick break here coming for you guys, folks. So don't go anywhere just yet as we get our next match ready. We'll be right back after this break. And we're back, folks, with that quick break here with round number 2. My name's Dark. I'm here with Sasu here, and we'll be seeing next 13 Kittens plus Xenith going up against Rick.
I'm sorry, there's just so much aura in the name. Like, that's just some guy.
Yeah.
You know?
That's my boss over at Walmart, you know? Like.
Yeah. Like, if it versus Rick. Like,
Yeah.
that's just like one guy. That's like a 4v1.
No.
Spooky.
Imagine. You know what's. we're How do I recover from this, folks?
Right?
Hammerhead Bridge.
Like, there's so much to say about these comps, but I just cannot get over Rick. But I'm gonna have to, because I'm noticing we have not just a paintbrush, but the Zuka variant of paintbrush. I feel like you kind of rarely see that. Versus on the other side, I have to point out this Dreadringer, but also that I think with that center sort of boxes, that structure in the middle, that a Reslider is not going to unfortunately be able to cheese zone here. Or fortunately.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit depending on the driver of the special, you know, but at the end, though, Rick does come out on top of this hold as they get 13 Kittens out by a delayed wipeout here. Peter going on the defense side, trying to go for a 1-1 trade there to pull some tension away from the remaining members of 13 Kittens as they're trying to recover as best they can. Catch cooler stacked with the back means that there's a lot of pressure going in the wake of 13 Kittens trying to push back for Rick as best they can.
Now, yesterday was Triton Cup, and I saw firsthand how powerful something like Vac can be on Hammerhead. You see this wipeout coming out is going to give them even more space to move up, and a hallway map like Hammerhead, that can be such a threat, especially when one of the members has a Zuka. So everybody has to run and hide, and even worse, once again, Xenith gets that back, puts a lot of pressure, and there's basically nowhere to run here for Rick.
Nowhere to run, but they do manage to make that 3. A good swing in their favor with the delayed wipeout, swinging in quickly to take the zone as fast as they can to try and stop the bleeding here. And now they're in the driver's seat here to try and meet 13 Kittens on the recall here. Peta on the left-hand side here using Zipcaster to pull attention. Virtuous going in with the Reslider does get called out there. Now Peta getting yet another pick. 13 Kittens is struggling a little bit here on their incoming push here as they're still locked in place.
Yeah, but I think Xenith getting those 2 picks along with Yoshel just kind of farming for that cooler so the rest of their teammates can move in, I think is really serving them well. Taking it slow and steady and picking people off one by one gets you in the position where you can move forward, but you see already 13 Kittens plus Xenith has lost 2 members. Of course, they do have access to 2 specials, and even more importantly, it was going to be Vac, but the Vac goes down, and especially with all of those people down, that's essentially going to be it. Rick just snags this first game out of 13 Kittens plus Xenith's fingers.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good showing there from 13 Kittens. They definitely had a lot going on in their favor, especially after with their initial hold there, but unfortunately for them, Rick just was able to leverage so much against them, especially with Peta on the flank with the Zipcaster pulling away so much attention from the front, causing 2 players to look to the left-hand side, allowing the remainder of Rick to be able to just walk up with the Reslider, you know, for example, just clear out the remaining members of Rick or of 13 and keeping them in a stalemate there.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think that the Zip really gave them a lot of leverage here. And despite the fact that I was talking about how well Xenith was doing, getting those picks and allowing the team to move forward, I think waiting on the cooler from Yoshel, everyone respawning, they were a little bit staggered, and that gave them a difficult time getting back into zone. And by the time they try to do that, they're already getting zipped again. So the amount of pressure coming out of Rick, the aura, if you will, was a little bit difficult there. And you can see on the replay just how aggressive Rick was being and how well they did to make sure that they kept the space even when they were down a bit. But now we go straight into umami zones, and this is going to be a bit of a different story here, Dark, because of course umami zones does have those two separate zones, and so things are going to be very neutral for a while.
Yeah, a bit of a tug and pull map kind of deal here with the two zone stages here. But 13 Kittens making a clean entry here, taking a delayed wipeout against Rick in order to try to push them against this sort of hold here to keep them in place. Tactical, especially online here. Unfortunately, the Bastard does go down, but I don't think they'll be down for too much longer here. But Pita going on the long flank around here. Gotta be very mindful of player count here if you're 13 Kittens, because now they're sort of getting a bit of a pinch scenario here. Josie pushing Xenith back bit by bit, slowly walking forward. Rick is able to just keep 13 Kittens walking backwards, and they're able to potentially come out on top here.
That was actually really well played. You see them just kind of getting everyone one by one, but even more so, Josie staying alive, just successfully flanking and getting those picks was really fantastic to see. But 13 Kittens plus Xenith, they are not out. Rick didn't really push them back into some sort of lockout position, so instead, they are in mid, taking that space, contesting the zones. So far, they have yet to get both of them, but I think more importantly, the fact that they have this presence in mid and they're able to fight, even though dun dun dun, PETA does have that, or had that special. I think they've put themselves in a marvelous position and recovered beautifully.
Yeah, but unfortunately for them, though, they do go down once again here. Now 13 Kittens is back in the same scenario as they were in the beginning of this game. But importantly, though, from Rick is that they had the triple ink strike, they had the zip caster. Vac does get used here, but whether or not how it can deny that paint from the ink strike is a bit of a question here. Zip caster does go in to try to pull some attention from 13 Kittens to try and allow Rick to force themselves through here, and they do get a pick here, but Tactical up once again, and they're slowly losing a little bit of ground with 13 Kittens here, but can Rick make the best of this advantage here? It's hard to say.
Yeah, the picks just keep coming out. Yoshel gets a really nice splat there off the person that was on the right. Aruka kind of struggling with all of the paint coming out from either side, but all the while, the time has been ticking. We are in single digits, and they're just not able to take that zone in the meantime. 13 Kittens plus Xenith get a stylish wipeout while they take this game, tying it up 1-1.
Bit of a different story this time around as well. You know, 13 Kittens from the last game, they were the ones sort of just not being able to match a lot of Rick's offensive pressure here. We head into this game now, and it was Rick who wasn't able to actually handle a lot of 13 Kittens' offensive pressure here. There were some good moments from Rick here to be able to push back and fight back against 13 Kittens, but for one reason or another, Rick just wasn't able to hold for too much longer. They're just stuck on their side of the map once again.
Yeah, usually I feel as though you can just kind of see the game and say, oh, this was the failure here. They didn't do X or Y, but I think this was just a sort of total of mini issues, or just lost 1v1, so to speak, because it didn't necessarily feel as though Rick was playing poorly or that they made any poor decisions. They were overextending X, Y, or Z, but it just didn't work out for them. So now that we're on a place that's a little bit more standard, Hagglefish zones, I feel like most people would want to start off a set here. I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see which of these teams gets the second point in the rest of the set.
Yeah, on your point match here, it's going to be a fight for both teams to try and move on forward in the winner's bracket here. The Vac does come out immediately here to allow 13 Kittens to walk forward and take these picks and apply this pressure against Rick here. But Peta's still on the left-hand side going around for a long flank. Can they make a pick out of that? No, they get shut down here as 13 Kittens just keeps walking forward, pushing this momentum in their favor, finally going down as Rick is just stuck on their platform.
Yes, they are fighting their way out, though. It may be a little bit harder this time around. They have the Reef Slider for the zone, but that means they don't have the Slosher with strikes, which is really effective against xenith, who has the Vac. So instead, xenith allowed to run a little bit wild here, gonna get that cooler and immediately Vac to make life a little bit harder as they push up to make things even more aggressive, gets a splat to boot, and all the while they are approaching halfway through their points.
Yeah, halfway through and still 13 kittens is just in the driver's seat here. Rick is trying different approaches here, trying to use their specials to leverage against 13 kittens, but still not coming out on top. They're too spread out. They're too sort of coordinated here, especially stacking Xenith with the Vac there, being able to use that as such a big button to be able to walk forward without any fear. It's really keeping Rick in check here. Now with only 10 ticks remaining on this map here, means that they had to move in back fast if they want to try and take the zone here. The restart coming in, but the Vac does meet it, but unfortunately enough for them, though, they are not able to stop the flip, and they are now sitting into those heavy penalty points here as Rick is trying to clean up the remainder of mid.
Nasty. I was taking a look at Virtuous, who had that Reef Slider, and I feel like we are all like, oh, is it coming? When is it coming? And it came at the perfect time. It puts that 69 tick penalty on 13 kittens plus xenith as well, but they have a bit of cheese of their own. The back shot comes out, neutralizes the zone, and the Reef Slider gets punished in that end lag, causing a delayed wipe essentially. So now Rick is right back where they started, where they have to figure out how to get into mid with a little bit less wiggle room, seeing as though as soon as they get out of that penalty, 13 kittens plus xenith will win the game and the set. So the pressure is on.
Factor is stacking high here, especially with PETA down for the count once again, and now Xenith using the ink back to just keep this momentum going in their favor here. It's a slow losing battle for Rick after things keep going the way they are. They're slowly chipping away at these penalty points, slowly closing the gap, and they aren't able to quite get the zone flip in their favor to just deny that game there. But two players going down for the 13 kittens, two players going down for Rick. It could still be anyone's game here, but another player going down for 13 kittens means that Rick should be able to clean up this zone here and deal an extra bit of penalty points to 13 kittens here as Rick now takes control of the zone.
Once again, they put on, I think, yet another penalty to them, so they're not going to be able to knock out just like that. But PETA here, very weak, jumping out very wisely, while the whales come out and Xenith just being overwhelmed by a lot of fighting power. Aruka going down in the trade as well. So now, once again, control going to be in the hands of Rick. Two of their members down, so they're really going to have to fight to hold on to this so they can fight that penalty. But I think that bubble kind of coming out of Jasmine, who has switched over, I think we neglected to point it out, but to that V blaster, I think is going to come in handy in this moment, and the Vac is online. So 27 ticks left. This is looking tough for Rick.
Yeah, a good chokehold here from 13 kittens denies Rick from any sort of possibility of being able to rush forward, especially with that Reef Slider cancel. That's a huge swing on their side, and PETA going down. I don't think there's much Rick can do now at this point to be able to try and salvage that, as 13 kittens takes that third game pretty dominantly in their favor.
Yeah, clearly you can see they learned their lesson from letting the Reef Slider live and stall out the game. Jasmine getting that direct there on the Dread Ringer and closing out the set as well. And I'm inclined to agree with you, Dark, that this was very dominant. Rick really was on the back foot for most of this game, and was sort of just trying to stay into it and survive for a while.
And what I really liked about 13 Kittens as well is that what they've learned from the first game, because I remember specifically highlighting that how PETA was a bit of a pain for them on that first game on Hammerhead Bridge here, and the second game was a bit more of an even split between the two teams, but this time around with 13 Kittens, they are pretty much in the driver's seat for the majority part, and I think a lot of that sort of leverages that just like how much they've been just stuffing PETA out for majority of this game. We do see PETA try to go for these flanks, trying to go for these zip casters to try and pull attention away from the front line to allow the remainder of their team to push up, but they get picked off almost immediately, and they just unfortunately get called out and can't do much off that. And I think it went to show extraordinarily well in this game in particular.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of thing that you expect out of +1 and top
Hmm.
players, this ability to adapt, understand what it was that was giving you trouble, and then deal with it accordingly. So we were in for a possible disastrous upset with the 19th seed going down 1-2 to our third seed. But yeah, I think that was really well played.
Hmm. Yeah, and now 13 Kittens does move on forward in the winners bracket as Rick gets set down to losers bracket. And I do think we are waiting for our next match here. Yeah, we are waiting for our next match here. So as we get things ready, once again, another quick break for you guys, folks, as we will be right back here in just a few minutes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to In the Zone 52. We are just speeding through this winner's bracket. And right now, we're looking at two teams that have decided, listen, all these young people with their emojis these days, we're just going to call them sushi and lemon because those are the emojis that are being used. And if that's not the name you want, use your words next time.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm all for the creative names, right? I think there's like some really good names out there, but if you're picking emojis and you don't like being called sushi or lemon, then what are we doing, you know?
Well, right off the top, we are going to be starting with Undertow Spillway. Kind of a unique place to be. Of course, you've got those two zones. The place is absolutely massive. And Team Sushi versus Team Lemon. This is shaping up, especially you've got Grape there, to be a delicious game, Dark.
Yeah, and out the gate, Lemon is holding the front line pretty well there, especially using the Bubbler to try and push Sushi back a little bit further here. And now the Blaster's gone from Sushi. There's a lot of more funds and power in Lemon's favor here as they're getting these picks, just slowly walking Sushi back bit by bit here. But the Zipcaster is online for Sushi. They can try and go for a bit of a pick there to deliver some annoyance in the mid line, in the back line here, as that opening pick from that kid goes well.
Yes, Dat Kid on that brush is all about that annoyance, but Grape getting that really good pick with a well-placed bomb, splashdown coming out and absolutely eliminating them on zone. But all the while, Sushi hasn't been able to really even get a steady hold on that zone here. Rip has had hold of that clasp and trying to pick away at people. And despite the fact that they've been able to neutralize it, I don't know, the pressure coming out of Lemon has just been giving them a difficult time. And it is only now that they're able to finally put some points on the board.
Yeah, now they're able to finally push Sushi back, push Lemon back a little bit here, but they do lose that kid, which is a bit of a pain on their offensive pressure here, as we do see the bubbler being used, we do see the ink strikes being used, we do see the splash going down. That's a good flip in Lemon's favor to keep Sushi in check there, and now the blaster goes down once again here. That's pretty much a little bit of almost a delayed wipeout there on their end here, as we do see the tactical stacked with the crab tank to try and leverage that into their favor here. But can they try and flip it? It's so hard to say, as they're just constantly fighting all throughout the map.
Yes, and we're seeing all of those jump outs, people repositioning to make sure that they don't quite go down. That pinch not gonna quite work out for Jovan and Grape there. Grape goes down, but Jovan is still up in this 2v1 essentially. Kiki is on them, they go down, they just get completely cornered there, and all the while their teammates have been able to get in here, put down the paint, take the zone to incur a penalty on the opposing side, and even worse, they have two specials to boot to put even more pressure. So I think Lemon, they started this off really strong, and of course they still have the lead here, but the fact that those strikes weren't able to go on zone or give them quite the space has put them in a bit of a difficult position. But now that they've gotten two members down, I think it's turning back into their favor.
Yeah, the tides are starting to swing back into Lemon's favor here a little bit, as they're trying to leverage those initial two picks on their side, but Sushi being this bastion here, just denying them that pressure, that allowance to be able to one up all over them. And now penalty points are gone. Those actual points are going to be flipping here to the lead in Sushi's favor here. Now Lemon's on the back foot. They need to try and be able to find that advantage. They need to go in to try and flip things into their favor. The pencil was down. The octopus is down. Two down from the side of Lemon. Reduce the splashdown being used here. And Sushi is still in the driver's seat.
Yes, and the points keep ticking on. Jovan throws that hammer. Doesn't quite get a pick off of it, but that kid gonna go down in zone, which helps them cap over it. But two members are down on either side. So I think that Lemon trying to play smart and waiting for their teammates to go in so that they can kind of move in as a team. The strike's going to come out, and that's going to cap the zone and incur a penalty, which I think kind of stops the bleeding because the game was getting a little bit away from them. And now that they move forward, I think they're going to have to be way more careful than they were before, because it seems as though I'm seeing them go down a little bit more than they were before in their 1v1s.
Yeah, I mean, Javon trying to go on the deep end here to finish out that pick does not bode well for them. And now Sushi once again holding the space, holding mid as best they could. 24K using this crab tank here to apply even more pressure, especially with so far forward here. But they do lose that kid once again here. We do see specials being used left and right to try and leverage things back into each other's favor here. And it is Lemon who comes out on top, but not without their own losses. 3 down on the side of Lemon. Sushi recovers it quickly here.
Yeah, the speed coming out of Sushi is just a lot to handle. You see the junior going down there. No one is quite near that zone. They're throwing their bombs to see if they can neutralize it to push this this overtime from going down. But Grape goes down. That is going to be a huge loss. And unfortunately, once again, zone is not painted fast enough on that left side. So despite the fact that we see it in that green from Lemon, it is going to be Sushi taking it with a score of 69.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, Lemon had a very good opening, keeping Sushi in check for the majority of that time there for the first half. But as they lost their ground here, this is things when really started to struggle for them here. Lemon, unfortunately, was put on the back foot here, not able to properly recover from this point forward, and allowing Sushi to be able to keep pushing forward, keep this momentum, keep this pressure going up against them, even though they are losing the occasional trade or two. It just was an inevitability loss with how these trades have kept swinging in the favor of Sushi.
Yeah, I was wondering what changed, because Lemon clearly had that strong opening you were talking about, and Sushi at the end of it, it was like they wouldn't let Lemon breathe, essentially. It was super difficult for them to get back into zone, much less neutralize it. And I think at the end of the day there, I said they were losing their ones, but I don't think that's true. I think I actually saw like two, three members of Sushi taking on one member of Lemon a lot of the
Mhm.
time. And I think being able to gang up against those really strong players and make it so that there's just like nothing they can really do there is what won them the game. But
Mhm.
you got to keep trucking, Dark. You can't focus on it too much. And once again, we're on yet another double zone map in Umami.
Yeah, back in the building again. Umami zones here. We'll be seeing exactly how things might be changing up a little bit this time around. No weapons have been exchanged from what I remember from the last match here. So at the very least, both teams are confident with what they've been bringing to the table so far here. As we do see this breakaway trying to be the ones to first get this the hold on the zone and on this mid container here.
Yes, things a little bit neutral. No one quite coming out on top yet, but we're seeing just a moving forward. I think with that crab that puts Sushi in the advantageous position. Grape just kind of falling down there. An
Oh,
unfortunate jump in also
oh,
going to go down, but Jovan has been popping off all the while. That kid wanting none of that smoke, backing up to instead pop that zip. So they do take Grape ultimately. Jovan is somehow still alive, and they're still in this despite the fact that they don't have the zone.
yeah, a good presence remaining from Javon here for Lemon here, but unfortunately for them, it wasn't enough field to actually convert that into a push or a hold of their own here. That get going on the deep inside though, two going down for Sushi. This is Lemon's opportunity here to move in, get the zone, apply those penalty points, and really try and paint up as best they can too. To get ready for the incoming members of Sushi here, but I don't think there's enough players around for Lemon to be able to allow to get a proper hold here. And just like that, they're able to take the zone in a rather quick fashion here and just use their private to just exert their hold.
Yes, and you have those really aggressive specials coming out and causing trouble between that crab and that splashdown. But I think getting rid of those players has done them well, and like nothing happened. They are back. They must have had that cooler on them because they take the zone, put that really meager penalty, but 2 minutes have gone by and it feels like there's just been so much fighting and no one has really gotten a super healthy lead. I think if Lemon is able to get the picks they need, it wouldn't be shocking for them to then take the lead, but two of those members are down, so that's not even entirely relevant. Jovan goes down once again in a 2v1, and I think that what we've been seeing from that last game is carrying through from Sushi, taking a lot of the control here.
Yeah, absolutely. Sushi is just using these team fights to their advantage against the singular players and using the player advantage to try and just exert their pressure here. But now it looks like Lemon might be learning a little bit from that, using those grouping tactics to take on these one-for-one trades in their favor to keep the momentum going. And now Lemon is in the driver's seat here, trying to get to those penalty points, trying to close the gap between this point differential here. 2 minutes remaining though. It's not an impossible task, but they still have a lot to go through.
Yes, I think members are just trying to get their specials, get ready for this fight. Sushi ready to move in. Kiki jumping out of that fight, not quite liking that, but they pop that splashdown, get rid of Jovan so they don't have to just do the fight, and they displace the pen on the back line. Al Creamy coming out on top, and 3 members down for Sushi is going to let Lemon hang on to this zone, but not without a penalty. So their work going to be a little bit more difficult than they were probably hoping for in terms of taking that lead. But once again, they're having to play careful. They know they have to be worried about this crab. The crab gets striked out, but does just sort of roll to the left, giving them a little bit worse of a vantage point and not really much use. I think that was a really good strikes that we saw out there. And Jovan has a hammer. It's going to be tossed, not quite going to find anything. Grape going down as well. But with those 2 members down, I think we might be seeing a lead switch here.
Yeah, the lead is going to get swapped here, and Lemon it still has an extraordinarily good hold here on mid as well as on this checkpoint, but 24K tops the crab tank once again here. We are getting to the 30-second time here in this stage, but 13 ticks remaining for Lemon. It could be their hold here if they can just paint the zone and keep control of the two players going down from Sushi, and we might be seeing a game 3 here as there's not enough presence from Sushi to contest that hold.
Yes, that is going to be a 1-1 regardless. They do have to play that game 3 because of this best of 5, but at the very least it's gonna be a lot tighter and a lot more fun to see how it goes down. So that, because I'm looking for that game 5. I'm hungry for it, Dark.
Yeah, I mean, to break down the wall a little bit here, I'm also hungry in general right now, so it just slipped my mind that is a game where the best of 5, not the best of 3 anymore. But that's besides the point.
Sushi and Lemon not helping.
It's been I've been wanting sushi this entire time. Yeah, I cannot overstate that right now, but that's not why I'm here right now.
Listen, we're hungry for sushi, we're hungry for some lemon, and we are hungry for these replays, because this game was looking as though it was going to be a replay of Undertow Spillway, and yet Lemon, I think, kind of came from behind. They got the zone, and after this it just kind of seemed downhill for Sushi. They kept this zone, they got their picks. Really, I think at this point it was a little bit harder for Sushi to isolate the members of Lemon like they had been prior, and with them kind of doing those 1v1s, they came out on top and got the game. We're heading into comeback pump track. Oof.
Yeah, well, no, and I also wanted to say too as well from the last game that we might seeing once and more again here is the fact that Lemon has been actually taking less individual fights, less going on their own to try and engage, and doing more as units, more pairing fights to try and win these skirmishes in their favor. Unfortunately, though, Javon does get picked off first here out the gate, but it's not too much harm to be done as Lemon does get the first points on the board, but still a bit of a mid fight here in mid. But 24K as well as everyone else on the team does have Tactical online and stacking that with the triple E strikes. I do believe Sushi's gonna get the first proper hold here on mid.
Yes, and we have a switch from Dat Kit, I believe, to the Ink Brush from the Octo Brush. So instead of that Sif, I think that's going to be Whales instead. I think that puts a lot of pressure on the opposing backline, so they're going to have to look out for that. But in the meantime, Lemon in their signature yellow, getting control of this zone, sending out the strikes to just harass and displace the members of Sushi. We have a jump out because Jovan is on that side with a hammer. They too just kind of move up to it. They're looking for somewhere to toss it, but all the while the zone gets capped with strikes, and both of these teams have strike start, and I feel like that's going to be really important for this game and capping the zone.
With how these teams utilize strikes could very well make or break in any of these sides' own push here. But 3 down for Sushi means that Lemon is going to be able to come back once again here in mid to take top control yet again here, forcing that fourth player to jump out. That's practically a delayed wipeout in my book here, as we do try and get their ball going, but unfortunately that is a disconnect, and I don't remember disconnect rules here, I'm going to be honest.
So most things have a disconnect rule for, I think, 50, right? You can't tick past 50 or 70. It depends on the tourney. But I wonder, Lemon are the ones that were past 50 points. We do have the rules in front of us. Each team is allowed 1 replay due to a team member disconnecting if more than half the time was left, which I believe it was. And the team without the DC's counter has not reached 30, which they have not. So they are granted that replay by the rules. No need to gentlemen here.
Yeah. And I'll say I'm pretty sure with what I vaguely remember from past rules from I think most Dapple production stuff has relatively the same standings for disconnects here. That I think because it was Lemon who was currently in the lead that got the disconnect, they can opt to replay. So I think I was right with my intuition on that, but I wanted to be sure because there's
In
so
all
many
fairness,
tournaments.
it's not Dapple, it's Sendo. Sendo's the big boss here who
Right,
gets to
right.
call the shots. So
Listen.
I think luckily this is very generous, up to 30. Neither
Mhm.
team had gotten to 30. They were at 47 themselves when they got the disconnect. So hopefully we have left the Wendy's and gotten on our home Wi-Fi. I'm I'm just joshing. I infamously have terrible Wi-Fi as well.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and hopefully there's no further disconnections because after the tomfoolery we saw in that blank set,
I was literally gonna bring that up.
we don't want that happening again.
Oh man, I guess it might just be one of those days. Yeah, I feel like there's like one time in a month, like for everyone, that no matter how good your internet is, it just does not work. And so I feel like that's just kind of happening right now with everyone because it's kind of the trend from today. But all the players are back in the lobby, so we should be getting this game started here in just a moment.
Now, I'm curious. We saw that Lemon had a really strong hold, and for the most part, they were a bit on top. Do you think Sushi's going to be able to turn it around and maybe go into this differently now that they were able to play some of it out? Or do you think that Lemon is going to come back even more fast and more furious?
It's I don't know. Because I feel like on one hand, it is the ball is in Lemon's court to just be like, hey, we know this works. We can try, and if we just stick with it again, it'll most likely work again. But on the side of Sushi, if they want to try and change it up on a different approach here, the question is like, what would the different approach look like here? And I think depending on how this opener goes for Sushi will kind of dictate whether or not we'll kind of see a repeat from the last. I say last game, but we didn't probably see that last game. But you know what I mean by that. But I say last game.
Yeah, I'm curious. I feel like typically when I do see a disconnect, if I'm
Mhm.
honest, the team that did not receive the disconnect it sometimes like throws you off when one of
Mhm.
your teammates just goes off, I don't know what it is, but hopefully Lemon is able to just really rip through that and come back even stronger. So we're starting it all over again here on Humpback Pump Track, and the opening has begun. Dovan has gone down,
Once again.
unfortunately. But we do see a lot of the same opening, unfortunately, for
Mhm.
Lemon. It is going to be Sushi once again off top, off the drop.
Yeah, opener on Sushi's favor is not that unexpected with how kind of neck and neck these two teams have been with one another for the majority of this set so far here. But it is Sushi this time around who's really pushing it forward this time around. That kid's on the deep end here. Both Kiki and 24K are just sitting under the ledge to keep Lemon in check here. But we do see Special starting to come out online. Triple Instrike does come out from Lemon to try and disrupt the line on mid here. Two going down from Lemon though. It's hard pressed to see if they can actually try and convert that into a proper push here. But they do have tactical online, so they can go on the offensive here. Javon throws out the hammer, does not find anyone, but they do get the lead, the zone swap nonetheless.
Being able to get that pick on Dat Kid without a trade, I think is actually going to be super huge. They have this really good man advantage, drawing attention over on that elbow section. So you have 24K, you have even the back line not looking forward, and instead Alcreen be able to chip over at them. But the strikes come out. I'm not quite sure if they're going to be able to paint over that efficiently, especially with all of that sloshing happening, but they counter strike. They do get the zone back, and even though I think they're about to, or at least I thought they were about to ultimately lose it there, I think that Lemon really had a really good hold going for them.
Yeah, a good hold, and it's not quite done from them just yet. They still have enough pressure here, enough presence here to keep this zone at least in a neutral state, in a contested state here, but Triple Insect finally going out to try and get that pencil out of that ledge there. Finally, Javon goes down from the back line, and Sushi is a bit of a scramble state right now, but they're recovering it kind of well here, especially being able to push Lemon back to what is a delayed wipeout at this point here. And now, polling points are almost gone. They are currently in the lead. Things are not looking too well for Lemon right now.
Yes, Lemon is going to have to really kind of buckle in to play this well. By this time, last game, they were essentially at an advantage, but I think Kiki is the only person alive. Surely they're going to be collapsed upon. They're going to try and see if they can get a pick before it happens. Not going to happen. Break comes out on top there, gets rid of that bubble. Popped in vain, I fear, and ultimately Lemon has this hold, but we've seen them get the hold. Obviously, they're down to a 52, the inverse of the opposing score, but they've been struggling to hold on to things. 3 members are down. It's just Grape still there, trying to find somewhere to stand, and with Kiki going for that window, they just jump out. They want none of it.
We see now Javon trying to pull some attention here from the right-hand side. Forced to jump out though, but the pencil from Sushi is down. This could be their opportunity here to try and actually go on the offensive here. Javon once again on the back line, try using those hammers to try and find someone. Anyone? No, does not find a pick. There is shut down, delayed wipeout for Lemon as Sushi maintains control here. But we do see the bucket is still up. Unfortunately going down. I don't think there's enough time for Lemon to come in to be able to take this zone.
If they were able to get their picks, there might have been, but unfortunately, it is going to be a sort of DC curse that puts them at the losing side of this game, giving the advantage in the set now to Sushi 2-1.
Yeah, that's gotta be a bit of a hard pill to swallow if you're Lemon there. You're the first attempt at this game. You're in the lead, doing well against Sushi, keeping them in check. But the rerun of it, the inverse is true. Sushi, once they got this first opening on their side, they really just put their pedal to the metal there and just kept Lemon in check for so long, playing so far aggressively in order to do that. It just kind of is. It's an unfortunate thing to see.
Yeah, it's tough. I think you're fighting against more than just the other team when you have a DC, right? Now there's like mental, there's nerves. What if they DC again, etc., etc. You also want to match your score you did from last time. So Humpback Pump Track out of the way. We're heading instead to Scorch Gorge, which I think, better than me. Because that huge center stack, we have pencils on either side. They're both, of course, going to be looking to snag that space, lay claim to it so they can chip away at anyone on their own plat. So really the race is going to be for control of that mid, but surely we're going to see some scuffling, some ring around the rosy around that center stack first.
Yeah, and with how big the zone is, we might as well freaking see just a bunch of different zone swapping between the two teams as well, or not zone swapping, the zone contesting between the two teams as well here, as no one has been able to take a proper hold of the zone just yet. Lemon fighting against Sushi here on this left-hand side, finally being able to push them back a bit here to be able to get these first points on the zone, on the board, and just be able to keep this momentum going in their favor as well.
Yeah, really good timing, particularly from Lemon. I saw that Sushi got several members down, but it's like they couldn't quite contest the zone. Lemon, perhaps they were all cooler because they just came back, did their pinching, and came out on top. So they have the presence in mid. They have that center stack as well. Bochi just trying to hunt down Kiki, but going down in that bubble as well. And Sushi takes a little bit of a while, but with getting all of the members down, Alcremie being the only one left, they do snag this zone for themselves.
Yeah, a good collapse from Sushi against Lemon to just instantly take those fights in that area, use that momentum to just be able to flip the zone almost immediately here. And now they're the ones trying to close the gap as best they can. They're now invading their territory as well, going up on their grades to cross over to the platform here. The lead may get swapped here, but 2 goes down for Sushi. Lemon has opportunity here to try and recover some amount of some semblance of control here in mid, but is it going to be enough? It's still hard to press to find out right now, as we do see trades coming out from either side. The zone is neutralized at the very least, so as of right now, Sushi isn't running away with any points.
Yes, and it's gonna probably be like that until some picks get taken, and 2 members are going to go down from Sushi. That puts Lemon in a great position. You see they take the zone accordingly, and Bochi just playing very safe, as they really should. There's a lot of paint coming out of Sushi, it feels like. You would think on paper it should just be Lemon, but I think that kid was kind of everywhere and making sure to swish everywhere. But Jovan gets a really great pick, make that 3, while some of the members of Lemon are just, I think, they were a little bit on the opposing plat, putting some pressure on them, but the cooler is out. That means they're going to be alive for this next flight. They take this lead, and they make it unsafe for everyone to go, but you see online are those strikes as well as those whales, and with Jovan down, it's going to be tough to hold while they wait for them to come back.
Yeah, immediately coming back and using the hammer to try and maybe get a swing on the landing there. Does not find much of anything, but the damage has already been done in favor for Lemon, taking it all the way down to 16 points remaining. Sushi has a bit of a ground to cover to try and even the odds at least a little bit here with 1 minute 45 seconds remaining. It's a bit of a hard stack to try and push through here, but Bubbler is out. Triple Ink Strikes is at the ready, especially with the Tactical online as well, using every tool that they can to try and break through this hold from Sushi, taking these fights as a pairing. Unfortunately, does not find anything, and now Lemon is once again just a bit of a stalemate between these 2 fights.
Yes, but Grape is like a dog without a bone, just completely trying to get those sloshes down on people. And you see everyone has been pushed back. That kid getting caught up. 4K going down to that triple ink strike. And despite the fact that Jovan is down, Al Creamy steadily on that center stack, threatening anyone who dares go along those grades, as well as the opposing pencil, who does have to dismount from that snipe. So ultimately, I think it's looking very difficult as we enter our last minute for Sushi. There is still some things to be had. The slosher goes down with those triple ink strikes, not quite finding anything. So I think Lemon is looking to close it out the old-fashioned way. Things are a little bit in neutral. They're missing their slosher, but it's a brutal paint off right now. That kid even hiding from Jovan to just stay alive to put that paint down, and they win the standoff, and they have to get through this penalty of ticks, especially with 2 of their members down and 20 seconds left here to try and take this game.
Yeah, that's a jump out as well, and that's practically a wipeout here at the very end. 10 seconds remaining. You had to move in now with those triple ink strikes, with the killer whale, to try and flip anything in their favor, but the triple ink strikes from Lemon comes out and responds to keeping things in a neutral state. It's a scramble from either side, but Lemon does come out on top, taking this set 2-2, going to a game number 5.
That is exciting. We were hungry and we're getting fed, Dark. I think Grape holding on to those strikes, I think almost baiting out the strikes that were going to come out in desperation and then counter striking to neutralize them, really sealed them the game. They could have had an overtime ahead of them. This is a big zone. They'd have to paint over it again, get the picks, but they just went past it. They do not pass go, secured the win, and pushed this game 5 after having to deal with a DC.
Yeah,
really well done.
Yeah, this is a very good second win for Lemon in there. But again, as you mentioned, with that DC loss from that last round or last match, it really puts a lot of pep into Lemon's step here into this game number 5, as we are moving in to Barnacle and Dime as our next map we're going to be playing here. So as we do wait for these players to ready up and we do see exactly how things are unfold, I am very much excited to see how this one's going to unfold, especially with how practically neck and neck both teams have been so far.
Curious to see if there are any changes, particularly Dat Kid, if the Octobrush comes back, and it does. But I also have to point out one, Kiki switching from the V Blaster to the Custom Blaster and to 24K instead of being on that Splash is going to be on the 96, the VAC. So that VAC has known to be strong. You see right off the top, all of the members of Lemon are down with the exception of their pen, and that is a brutal opening on a place like Barnacle and Dime.
Yeah, beautiful opening if you're Sushi or a fan of Sushi here, as they're able to just get pretty much 3 down right out of the game, be able to move so far forward into Lemon's base here. That kid is down at the moment, but it doesn't even feel like that, as there's just so much pressure from the remainder of Sushi to keep this momentum up, going up here in this hole. But finally being able to find a small break in this armor. They're looking to try and leverage whatever they can, but to make that 3 going down for Lemon once again. Sushi could very well get 100-0 here.
Yes, there's not that much time remaining, and I always say this is such a difficult place due to how many fights you have to take. Lemon currently don't have any specials, so they're gonna have to just try and win their ones. They move in, and despite the VAC, everybody else is down, and the VAC doesn't even get their shot out. Jovan just mows them down, and through pure grit, not even having specials, they move up, take the zone, and stop this knockout and the set from getting out of their hands, Dark.
On a lifeline, Lemon does not want to go out here and now. We do see the VAC being used, stacking that with Kiki to push them forward on the front line. Aggressive here, being forced to use the splashdown, does not find anyone at all, and Lemon still has all this presence here on their stacks now, as we're seeing Sushi trying to keep up whatever painting they can to keep this momentum going in their favor, but the splash coming out from Lemon is just not enough.
I gotta give it up to Bochi, being aggressive, but playing so very careful, and that kid literally just trying to sort his life out, get this pick, does end up getting a pick despite all of that, and Bochi having to back up because too many of their teammates are down. Shout out to Joe Ryan on the spec cam for getting that for us, but right now they're going through their penalty. That kid sort of cleaning things up. Once again, we just have Alcremie on that backline being the only person down, and we've seen Lemon be able to push through to their plat and into mid lightning fast before, but once again they're looking down the barrel of a loss, and they're going to have to really lock in and figure this out ASAP if they hope to keep this game going.
Yeah, and with that kid is down, that gives them some leverage to try and go for a potential flip here. Using that with the triple ink strikes with the bubble jump in means that they are able to at least get themselves some extra penalty points to buy themselves some more time if they fail here. But 24K popping the ink bat to stop a lot of this momentum here. And coming from Lemon, Sushi just comes in, cleans it up almost immediately, and now Lemon's back to square one at this point.
Yeah, it was really important for them to get that pick on Kiki, but they just couldn't do it while they were retreating. So now they are in lockout position once again, and they have an even skinnier amount of ticks to deal with. So they have those strikes. They can possibly throw those. Bochi just cut their special, but now that they've gone down with this wipeout, Sushi does take game 5 and the rest of the set, sending Lemon down to losers.
That was a very good attempt at the end, though, to try and run forward to potentially throw one last-ditch effort to be able to flip the zone. But I unfortunately think that was kind of a checkmate scenario in favor of Sushi, because I'm pretty sure that we saw 24K with the VAC at the end. So even if the ink strikes was thrown out there in those final seconds, in those final moments, I do think they were probably going to just be thrown out in vain.
I don't know. I mean, VAC cannot suck up ink strikes. Only Booyah Bomb. So if they were able to properly strike the VAC holder, and that person goes down and gets splatted in zone, perhaps that neutralizes things a little bit. Here's Dat Kid trying to not die in that corner, narrowly doesn't die, and also gets the pick on that.
Yeah, the fact that he got a pick out of that's crazy, by the way.
I think ultimately you have to remember that Splatoon is 8 players and every player is going through their own stuff, regardless of whether you see them on camera or not.
Oh man, but no, as now we are seeing sushi moving forward into winners bracket here. I think winners semis now, if I know my math. I do know my math, as unfortunately I'm now getting set down to losers bracket here. But I do think no, we don't have time for a break this time around, as we're immediately going into our next match, which I do you know Sasu? Because I don't know Sasu.
I do not know, but I think we'll know shortly. You know,
Semis 2
we
got it.
are continuing on with Boys Who Cry
Mm-hmm.
versus Fish. We're continuing on with the food. I hope you're all hungry. And despite, you know what's interesting about this?
Mm-hmm.
Boys Who Cry, their roster: Leafy Jared, Seb, Shadowwind versus Fish, Mirage, Synapse, Sam, and Kool-Ace. Fish has several members of Hypernova.
Mm-hmm.
And Boys Who Cry, of course, have, I think, I think I see Shadowwind and I'm like, oh my gosh, like Moonlight Moonlight and Hypernova for a long time were really deadlocked. I say deadlocked, but Hypernova was usually coming up on top, but since then there's been a lot of roster changes for Hypernova. Not quite the case anymore, but still I feel the grudge match in the air a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Residually.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this definitely is a match to look out for and look forward to here, especially starting out Haddlefish Market is sort of an actual proper, true, tried and true starting point for the first time this series today, folks.
Proper, tried and true. We're not on Oahu or something crazy. As a matter of fact, I'd argue all of these maps are pretty standard play.
Yeah.
So none of these teams should be, having a hard time. Oh, this is weird. Why are we on Eel Tail or anything crazy like that? So we're jumping into it. We have these strong players and interesting. Gotta shout out Shadow on the Zuka mini.
Yeah, I don't think we see that Viper mini too often, at least in comparison to the Zinc mini as well. But I'm excited to see exactly how this will get used here. As out the gate, Boys Who Cry does get the first zone flip in their favor and are already looking to walk forward with tactical or pushing them forward.
Yes. Ultimately, I'm not even concerned with who gets that first game, but really who gets that advantage. And it is going to be Boys Who Cry who gets both. Shadow is pushed up, ready to mow people down despite being on that kind of on that midline, sends out those Zukas, doesn't quite find anything. Synapse just standing on business, still staying there despite those Zuka shots. They put up the wall that gets shredded pretty quickly, and all the while they haven't yet gotten the opportunity to really put their hands on their zone. Everyone on Fish are kind of struggling to find where it is they should be standing. Hopefully with Sam sending out this crab, that's going to give them a little bit more ability to get the zone, but it's not going to do much. That's a 100-0 knockout for Boys Who Cry, our second seed in the tourney.
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't even tell you what went wrong for Fish that game because I just had so little time to actually try and figure out, piece together what was actually going wrong here. Boys Who Cry just out the gate, hit the ground running. It was just able to push Fish back all the way to their side of the map and just kept them there for the majority of this game.
I mean, ultimately, I think it's just a case of synergy and strength. Boys Who Cry, these are extremely strong players, every single one. I think they're basically all top players for the most part. they kept their foot on their neck and they never got up. You know what I mean? I feel like when you, especially in a place like Hagglefish, it's not as bad as a Barnacle in Dime, but once you get that opening aggression and you never let up, it's just so tough on the defending team. Ooh.
Yeah.
Speaking of Barnacle and Dime.
Yeah, I was on the way to say for our second game here, back to Barnacle and Dime, folks. No changes from either side as we see this kickoff here between these two teams. Out the gate, Shadowman using the Zuka to try and find much of anything from anyone, but no, 2 down for Cry, and it is Fish who comes out on top here, looking to try and be the ones to push him back.
Yes, Leafy gets shot down. Janice, though, is the only person left here. Synapse is posting up newly spawned in, but Jared has that crab to chip away at everyone, and that crab is done, and Sam counter crabs. It's out to try and do what Jared couldn't and get a pick, and now Fish are finally in a really good position. Jared gets a sneaky pick there, but I think ultimately being able to take that opposing flat has put them in a great position.
Yeah, but now Jared is going on the flank to try and pull some tension from the front lines of Fish here. Boys You Cry looking to try and leverage that to push themselves even further, but gets shut down immediately with that Zipcaster attempt here. And now Fish holding on strong. We do see the crab take is about to come on line here from Sam, which could be a good tool to just extend their lead even further, especially with 3 down once again from Boys Who Cry.
Yes, this showing after they were essentially locked out 100-0 push is really fantastic. Janice goes down to Shadowin, ultimately Leafy pushing in, and Jared in Crab is going to put an immense amount of pressure on Fish. They don't have the zone right now. They had it a little bit neutralized, but finally, with 2 of them down, Boys Who Cry have fought their way back into mid, and this jump out cements it for them. Janice just does not know when to jump out, still going for it, but does go down for it. So Synapse is just kind of here trying to take that space, and they just have to hope that they do not get kind of reversed on here.
Yeah, that's the kind of the worry now. You had such a good opener, such a good lead, and such a good holding against Boys Who Cry, but now can you actually break through the defense that they kind of brought against you the entirety of the first game of this set here? And it looks like it might be possible here. 2 down, make that 3 down, a jump down, to jump in. That's the 4th down, a delayed wipeout for Boys Who Cry here. Unfortunately, not without their own losses, as it's just Synapse here on this platform to try and just exert their presence even further, getting yet another pick on a rampage.
Oh my gosh, you would have thought this was a counter pick with how dominant Fish are being. They were looking a little shaky when they were pushed back, but the fact that they were able to just get back into that position that we saw them at the beginning of the game really shows a masterclass of how strong they are. Sam trying to get a little bit going with that fall off, not quite gonna get Shadowin, and 2 of their members are down. Janice getting a pick before going down themselves. So they got down to 6, not quite gonna get the knockout. Hopefully for them, they don't get punished for not ending it there, but this game is looking so close with just 1:30 left on the clock.
Yeah, not a lot of time left from either side for multiple reasons. Not a lot of points remaining for Fish, not a lot of time on the timer here. And now 1 players are down on either side, but we do see the Zipcaster coming in from Leaf to try and disrupt the line from Fish. Does not find much of anything, as we do see Jared use the crab take on top of that to be able to keep pushing them back further and further. But now on the recall here, we just see exactly what the response is with that tacticaler. We do see Fish looking to try and find that perfect opportunity to come in, playing the neutral game, playing the zoning game to keep them in check. And 1 player now from Boys Who Cry, make that 2, make that 3, 2 down from Fish. They have the advantage, they have the control here, and there's just 1 minute on this game. What's a beautiful first bomb throw to finish it all off.
I gotta clap for Sam there. Beautiful gameplay, and just them putting on all this pressure. They are on the enemy plat. Kyosuke, strong pick there. Seb, I think, to get there. It's Jared on that hallway on the right to try and end it out. They know they have just 30 seconds left. Shadow has a Zuka ready. They cannot go to Janice here if they're hoping to use it, and I think that's Janice going down. Synapse moving forward very boldly. They have to play very careful because there's just 16 seconds left. If they allow Boys Who Cry to take this zone, then they will trigger overtime, but the zone is theirs. 2 members are down. Shadowwind is standing there trying to hold his own ground. Leafy jumps in as well, so 3 of them are back, but they do not get control of the zone, and for the second time today, we're seeing some unfortunate timing costing a team overtime like they would want, and we have a really good answer back here for Fish in the second game.
Yeah, a very different story than what we saw from the first game. Fish showing that Boys Who Cry, they had the dominant first game there, but they're not going down without a fight. They're showing that they can and they will actually fight back against Boys Who Cry, and for them to not be taken so lightly here. And yeah, sure, it wasn't maybe as clean and as dominant as Fish maybe would have liked and hoped to have happen, but it's still a good showing nonetheless to make sure that they can't be tussled with. And I also gotta give it to Janice as well, using that Luna Blaster to their advantage. I saw so much pressure being applied from that, especially seeing it used against Leafy when there's zip casting, as well as Jared when they're trying to dive them. It was really good.
Yeah, Boys Who Cry are really strong players. That's why they're the second seed. But Fish obviously are nothing to sneeze at either. They prove that they have strong players. So I would say maybe they just needed a little bit of time to warm up, or maybe Boys Who Cry were just kind of standing on business in that first game. But I think that we're heading into Umami Ruins. These teams are going to have to be way more coordinated to keep those zones, because you're going to have someone irritating you, putting the zone closest to them in neutral. So these teams are going to have to be super aggressive to just lock you out, make a human wall, so you're not getting there and putting unnecessary paint, especially because I don't think either of these teams are running strikes, so they don't have to worry about specials being lobbed into zone, except for maybe Crab and putting it in neutral.
Yeah, Crab might be the key linchpin here for either side, but we do see this breakaway for this third game here, folks. Trying to see exactly how this opener is going to go from either side here. And it's a bit of a slower start. No one team is rushing to meet each other right out the gate. But it's going to be Jared who does go down first, which means Fish has the opportunity here to really press that advantage, especially stacking down with the Crab take out the gate to just be able to take this first zone here and be able to hold, try and lock Boys Who Cry out.
Yes, I think they're carrying a lot of the same energy that came from the prior game, and Sam losing that engagement against Leafy is going to spell disaster for Fish here, because everybody else has Leafy just on them. But Jared goes down, Synapse gets this double, moves up with the team, takes the opposing dome, and this is a dangerous place to have a gal. They can just set up that wall. They're practically impervious, but they do ultimately push Synapse out of that position and get rid of Kool-Ace while they're at it. So now it's just a case of fighting, making sure you can get rid of the people neutralizing your zone, and Jared being in this really aggressive spot is going to be a thorn in the side of Fish.
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, that kind of falls apart Fish's whole hold here. We do have a few remaining players up from Fish, specifically Janice, trying to find a player to take down with them. Does not find that pick there, as Boys Who Cry now trying to get their own setup proper here in mid. We do see the Zuka from Shadowwind coming out to try and find a pick, or at least try and apply some pressure. Sam does have the Crab tank going out on the flank around here to just disrupt this backline from Boys Who Cry. The zone is neutralized at the very moment, so there's no point being run away, and Fish is still in control, or it's still in the lead with points, but the Zip Passer comes out. Caterpillar is online. Leafy can't find a pick here and is shut down.
Huge Sam getting that pick, especially because we saw that slip out of their fingers last time we saw them. Jared just barely getting that crab and popping it immediately to secure the lead for the team. Kool-Aid's Janice here is looking for somewhere to stand between that crab and just all the pressure. There's nowhere to be, but they do end up throwing at that hammer to no avail. Basically, Kool-Aid is trying to get a pick on that back line and once again goes down. But all the while, Boys Who Cry have gotten a fantastic amount of points on the board. Mirage is trying to take down Leafy themselves, does so successfully, but what they really need right now is the zone, and with 3 of their members down, it looks like they're not going to get it, and they are going to lose this game 3.
Yeah, that was a good last-ditch effort there to try and disrupt the line long enough to allow your team to come back and potentially take mid once again. But with Synapse, there was only so much you can do if you are just outnumbered in a situation like that. Now, Boys Who Cry taking this third game, putting the score 2-1, means that they're at match points here. But I don't think it's the end all be all for Fish just yet. Especially with that second game, it shows that they have a lot, especially with this game as well. They have a lot of fight against Boys Who Cry, and they can leverage a lot of their own traits to be able to come on top at the very least from the next game.
Yeah, at the very least, Fish, it's not like they got knocked out like they did in the first game. So you have to have a bit more confidence, but confidence I don't think is what they need. I think they feel like we just need to win. I don't know. There's got to be some nervousness going up against a team seated this high with players this strong, especially you have a North American champion here. A newly double crowned North American champion, along with a second place North American League player. There's a lot going on that team, but I believe they're probably like, we can take them. We just have to lock in. So as much as I'm like, at least, they didn't go down completely. I think they have their eye on the ball and they're looking to take this win.
Yeah. And now, Mahi Mahi Resorts. Once again, something that we all know well and love and are very familiar with here. So nothing strange, nothing out there. But we do see the Viper Mini getting swapped out for the Zinc Mini from Shadowwind, which I do think that Bubbler probably will pair better here over the Inca.
Yes, especially if they're able to move into key positions and just take that space. But there is no moving to be done from the rest of the team because they are mowed down immediately. And Shadowwind is the only one up, popping that bubble and getting a pick off of Synapse to stop everyone from using that aggression. But Jared just getting an immediate pick on Mirage, doesn't even have the time to back up and has been alive all the while. Synapse finally getting that pick, and look, they have undone Boys Who Cry once again, and you would think Shadowwind is the backline the way he has been outliving his team, but they can't allow this to happen on a place like Mahi. The water level does drop though, so maybe things are going to change with all of the space we've been granted.
The map change means that there's a lot of new territory to try and move and try and flank through here. So Boys Who Cry may have their opportunity here to finally be able to fight back properly against Fish this time around, but no, Leafy is down out the count, right out the gate. Shadowwind just sort of anchoring down on this top point to just get some total area control here. But it's still anyone's game. 2 down is for Fish, but they still have a lot of presence here in mid. But they're opting just to back up, respect the pressure, respect the presence of Boys Who Cry as they wait for the remainder of their players from on the incoming here to get ready for this next push.
Yes, but Synapse going down there is going to give them a little bit of a stagger, so they do have to wait for that. Kool-Aid just putting out those fizzies while they wait, and all the while 2 of their members have gone down once again. So I think on this defense, things are going to be way more difficult for them to break into mid. You see that they've basically tied it up, they've snagged the lead, and it's not going to be a completely difficult lead to take. It's only 2 points, but it is something to say that clearly when Fish have their hand on the zone, when they are in the dominant position, their holds are strong, but their retakes weak comparatively. So now that they have their hands on the zone, we'll see how well they do now that they're in their strengths.
We do see Jared make an attempt to try and find something, anything, but is forced to jump out here. Trying once again, Wolverine forced to jump out once again, but Leafy with the Zipcaster does find a synapse, which is a huge swing in their favor to try and break this lineup from a Fish, but they still maintain control here. 10 penalty points are slowly ticking down. They might be able to get the leads up here if they just hold on just long enough, but with the tactical online stacking up with the kill wheel, there's still a lot of pressure coming out from Fish to just keep the zoning power, but there's so much going on. The crab tank, the players, it's not enough for them as Fish is starting to get overwhelmed here, and they don't close the gap for the lead.
Yes, but I think very wisely they decided to just give up the lead instead to play for their lives and just back out where they can keep their special and hopefully just use the fight to get rid of the people who were painting the zone. So we're starting a little bit from square one because the penalty is put on once again. So even Boys Who Cry is not able to put more points on the board there. Synapse in this 1v1 with Shadow decides to get out of that position and instead get the zone, grab some cooler, and position themselves somewhere difficult. And Jared on that back foot gets mowed down, traded out, and a lot of pandemonium. But all the while, Shadow says nobody's looking at the zone. Let me neutralize it, and Jared jumping in is going to help with that. And worst of all, Kool-Ace dies on zone and gives it back to Boys Who Cry. So now that we are just under a minute left, a lot more work to be done for Fish.
A good call out from Shadow One to be able to just flip that zone immediately here. Now the pressure is on Fish's side. 40 seconds remaining. The penalty points are as good as gone at this point. You need to make your move now if you don't want to let this game slip away from you. The crab take from Jared locks him in place. There's 20 ticks remaining now. You need to get going with whatever special you have. The crab take is used. The tactical ruler is used. We do see the hammer being popped here. One player is down, and you do get the picks, but you don't need picks right now. You need to make sure you get control of the zone at this point. And it's just utter mayhem from either side. 2 players down remaining from Fish here, and they do come out on top and take the zone to buy themselves a little bit extra time. And Boys Who Cry may actually be put on the back foot at this point. Bubbler is ready to buy Shadow when they do take one down, but going down for a 1-for-1 trade here. But the zone needs to be under your control if you're Fish, if you want to see it in overtime.
Yes, and they have it, but Seb, their Kyosuke, is still just getting cooler for their team, which enables them to just dive the members of Fish. But that is a deceptively low, not even deceptively, it's just low, that penalty. So if they're able to just hold on to this, get the picks, win this one fight, they might make it so they just take the game, but you cannot die in zone in overtime. But it is what it is, and Boys Who Cry have been able to take this third game and the set, sending Fish down to losers.
A good attempt to make a last stand in overtime to potentially see a game 5. Unfortunately, it does not go that way as Boys Who Cry playing it patiently, playing it slowly, not letting the pressure get to them, knew the exact win conditions they need, and once that Zipcast was at the ready to disrupt the backline, to pull attention from the front line, allowing you to dive Mirage, it just kind of all fell apart at that point.
Listen, Dark, can I say something controversial yet true?
Yeah?
I'm giving MVP of this match to Shadow.
Yeah.
I think Shadow actually was completely the linchpin for Boys Who Cry.
Yeah.
There was a time where I think Fish were running away for the points, and Shadow said, I'm not going to fight anybody.
Yeah.
No one's paying attention to the zone. I'm going to paint it. And that allowed Leafy to jump in, help paint the zone, and give them back and incur a big penalty. Half the time, you saw 3 members going down, and who was alive? Shadow.
Win.
I think...
Especially right here, just sitting on top of that.
Yeah. Between those bubbles and winning those ones, I think a lot of people, maybe they're looking to Leafy, they're looking to Jared, and I think we look to Shadow win. I think he was killing it that game, and he's a lot of the reason why they especially won that game, where I think without him, I could see a loss there, but controversial, yeah, true. But yes, congratulations to Boys Who Cry for moving on in the winners bracket. But unfortunately, we will not be moving on, Dark. That's it for us.
that is it for us. You know, we had a great time and a great day here looking at all these matches here, but we will be passing the torch to finish things out here from in the zone. So as we wrap things up, Sasu, anything else you want to say, add, or just yap about before we close things out here?
Well, you can find me at Sasu in Your Pants, SASUIN, the letters U are pants. I will also be likely at Gridlock, which is in New York City, a LAN. So if you are in the area, today is the last day to sign up. If you want to be on a team, you can sign up at any point to be a spectator. And Gridlock was my first LAN and got me into Splatoon and commentary and everything else. So I highly suggest that you go, especially if you've never been to a LAN and you feel a little bit shy about it. But that and be sure to stay tuned for Matt and Frostix. But before that, where can we find you, Dark?
SPF Dark is most of my socials. I'm also a land extraordinaire, if I might say, going to a lot of the different lands here, but also the TL for Dope Down and the Function for Anarchy Nova. You know, I love lands. So support your locals, you know. But that is gonna be it from us, folks. We'll be taking a quick break as we get our stuff swapped on over to our next commentator. So don't go anywhere just yet. We'll be right back.
Bye.
Splatoon Stronghold, a stronghold for competitive Splatoon, providing resources to long-timers and newcomers alike. If you're new to the competitive scene or still figuring out how to join, we have a getting started guide and plenty of other resources to help you in your journey. If you are a seasoned veteran, we still have plenty to offer. You can find and join tournaments as well as participate in our Captain Forum and find free agents and teams. Our mission is to make competitive Splatoon easily accessible to everyone. So what are you waiting for? Join the Splatoon Stronghold today!
Hello everyone, welcome back to this month's edition of In the Zone. This is In the Zone 52 for those just joining stream and probably those hearing our voices for the first time. I'm Frostix and I'm joined on the mic with Matt. And how are we feeling today?
Hello everybody and welcome back to In the Zone. I'm feeling really good for this one. We have a lot of great teams up for that winning prize, and right now we are looking at our, I believe, is this, which set
This
is
is winners. This is
our
winners finals, Matt.
This is winners finals. We're up here. We're up here.
Yeah.
We have some of the best here in the West competing against each other. One will go in as grands and one will have to fight their way through losers to make it back, to have a chance for winning this In the Zone. And looking at the comps of both these teams, we do actually see those splat dualies coming out from the side of Fish, something you don't see every day.
Definitely right now, we're seeing Leafy trying to at least establish some positioning. Really bold of them to do that considering the rest of Fish, aka Boys Who Cry, are down. And we're already seeing Dembélé hat-trick, already establishing a lot of solid positioning. I think I'm only seeing a mini left, and Boys Who Cry are just staggered very, very hard, which are allowing the rest of Dembélé hat-trick to move in. We're seeing the Blaster on stack here, chipping away at the dualies. They're able to jump back onto the right side of the map here. And Matt, we're seeing Dembélé hat-trick already work through almost halfway of their points right now.
I mean, they've been on lockout the entire time. Boys Who Cry trying to fight their way through. There goes the hammer, there goes the zip, there goes the crab. They threw everything they had to cap this zone. 2 down on the side of Dembélé hat-trick. And with that, Boys Who Cry are gonna take control here. But it looks like we do see Shadowwind trading off with that bucket. But Boys Who Cry still has a little bit of a control onto the board. But it's going to be up to the members of Dembélé hat-trick to move back in here and take over as much space as possible.
And taking space, they do. They opened the fight with a splashdown. We're also seeing the bucket almost have their strikes. They're able to get rid of the pencil here. Potentially Leafy, but no, Leafy gets them down in a single slash, and Shadowwind has now popped their hammer. Zone is now into neutral, and the points are dead even. 46 to 48. The strikes are now coming out from the bucket. The zone is purple. The lead has been swapped by a single point margin here. These scores are dead even right now, Matt.
We see Leafy going down to that bucket. That's going to be 3 down on the side of Boys Who Cry now. And Dembélé hat-trick is back into control. And Boys Who Cry are going to have to get those specials. They're going to have to take a lot of space now if they want to get back in here. But Dembélé hat-trick does have to work through their penalty. And we see Jared trying to look for an opening with those splat dualies close to that crab. But it doesn't look like they're able to cap that zone. They're just looking for whatever picks at the camp, but their team is around 3 down again, and Dembélé hat-trick takes back control. Leafy trying to get whatever they can. They are able to get 1. They are able to get 2 with the stamper, and with that, Boys Who Cry are able to push back in.
It was looking really risky, especially since Jared went down almost at their crab, but the rest of Boys Who Cry are able to just sweep up. Now here comes the crab from Jared, and also the strikes from the bucket here, and that blaster is going to be dealt with promptly. That's pretty huge, because having an AoE weapon shut down like that is a really solid stepping stone. But meanwhile, the bucket on Dembélé hat-trick is in the backlines and means business. They take down 2 before going down to Leafy, and meanwhile, the zap on Dembélé hat-trick is able to now cap the zone. There's around 30 points of penalty to work through if they want to keep scoring, but now the zone is in neutral. Shadowwind is able to supply a lot of paint thanks to the kit of the V Mini. They're backing up, especially now that they're halfway towards their hammer, and especially now that you notice that the custom blaster has their splashdown, but no, they go down to the bucket, and we're also seeing the blaster get the direct onto Jared. Their splashdown is primed. Hat-trick gets the wipeout here, and they're already poised to move forward for another lockout, Matt.
And now Boys Who Cry are back onto that retake. They need to get their specials online here. Dembélé hat-trick has to. Able to get the splat off of Jared. 3 down actually on the side of Boys Who Cry. And Dembélé hat-trick is looking really strong here. Their penalty is over. And that point gap is going to really start increasing here. They need to look for an opening, and Boys Who Cry are looking for that. 2 down the side of Dembélé hat-trick. 3 down. And this is their chance. They're going to push through that to that zone there. They're going to take it. A 23 to 45 scenario, but Boys Who Cry are not out of it yet. They are looking to fight. They are looking to take this game.
Oh no, Jared going down mid-crab is going to be devastating because now your only special left is Leafy's Zipcaster here. And already it will be popped here. Your Pencil's gone down, unfortunately. Shadowin's gone down as well. Leafy is on their lonesome with, I think, Jared. But no, Jared's gone down too. It is only Leafy. They're jumping back in. And the Blaster has already spotted them. The Blaster's now jumping out. There's 45 seconds left on the clock. And Boys Who Cry have a long way to go. 26 of their own points and 45 of their own points to go down. And they're already 2 members down. There's going to be 30 seconds left on the clock, and Dembélé Hat-Trick are almost out of their penalty. They've got a lot of space on their hand here. They've got Jared isolated here, potentially the right stack locked down as well. We're seeing the robot as well as the Blaster washing it down. The splashdown has been committed. The hammer has been popped, but I don't think an Ultra Stamp will be enough. But the rest of Boys Who Cry are there to put this into a potential overtime, Matt.
And they're going to do exactly that. The bucket going down here. Jared is looking to guard this with their life. Leafy goes down, though, which is going to be a little bit iffy for them. Going into overtime, their penalty is over, and they need to get whatever pick that they can. But they're 2 down, and Dembélé Hat-Trick is looking to take control. Capped back for Boys Who Cry, but the strike's going to be coming up there. And with the paint, they still keep it. But no, with 3 down on the side of Boys Who Cry, and with Shadowin going down there, Dembélé Hat-Trick comes back, taking game 1 of winners finals.
Wow. Okay, that was a lot to take in for our first game on, Matt. I mean, we saw both of these teams go neck and neck for a hot minute. I think the entirety of the mid game was at the 40s, and then finally we saw Dembélé Hat-Trick just push forward here. They almost got their knockout, and then Boys Who Cry had one final hurrah, and they played that overtime really, really intensely.
Yeah, I mean, what a fight until the end. Boys Who Cry, even at the edge of that KO, they were able to force an overtime and potentially look further. And their retakes were really nice. For a team like Dembélé Hat-Trick, filled with some of the best players in the West, the amount of times they were able to retake on them was absolutely incredible. And it shows how strong not only Boys Who Cry is, but also Dembélé Hat-Trick for showing such dominance throughout this first game. And I mean, Boys Who Cry, even with 1 remaining, they were able to take control in those last 10 seconds and force an overtime that would last for a little bit. But in the end, it just wasn't enough, especially with those strikes coming in there. They were able to use that, and the bucket was able to rush in there. And with the extra paint on the zone in that final pick off of the hammer, they're going to be taking that first game. And for now, we're going to be moving on to counter picks. So now Boys Who Cry gets to pick what they play next. And we got to run away.
Yeah, that they already have, and they selected zones on Museum. And obviously, I think Museum zones you don't really see all of that often, but I think Boys Who Cry, I think they definitely want to play around Leafy here. I think their Zipcaster is going to be playing really well along here. If Shadowin sticks on the mini here, as long as they can be propped up on maybe some high ground, maybe on their own stack or the mid spinner, they can cover a lot of space here. Maybe will Shadowin go on? I'm trying to remember what else they could bring out in this instance here. But I think they really want to make work of the verticality that Museum has. That being said, Dembélé Hat-Trick were sporting Blaster Bucket already on Mako Mart, and those 2 weapons can also play really well on Museum, I'd argue.
Yeah, and I mean, against a comp like Boys Who Cry, I mean, there's so many things that are leading to these moments, but the number one thing we're looking at is the fact that they have a lot more AoE than Boys Who Cry. That Blaster is doing wonders for them, and the way they're doing that is they're able it's one of Dooley's biggest threats. So Jared's gonna have a hard time playing around them, especially with the Dooley's end lag. They're just gonna get picked off by that AoE so easily. So they really have to watch what they're doing here. They gotta stay clear of that Blaster. The only time to fight that Blaster is if you can get that angle, if you can get behind them, if you can flank them. That's what's important right now, and that's what Boys Who Cry need to focus on. Maybe doing a little bit more flanking, going around them, seeing if they can just surprise them when Dembélé Hat-Trick isn't looking. That one split moment that they're not looking at the side, take advantage of that.
Definitely so, and then once you get a lot of that space, I think that's when a lot of the opportunities will open up for Boys Who Cry, because then you just have a lot of space that Jared could watch over with a crab tank, that Shadowin can just kind of keep firing off. You just have an entirety of an enemy platform that Leafy can just dive in with that Zipcaster here. And now we're seeing Shadowwind switch over to the Zimmy, and Bubbler will be very, very helpful. Same thing with Toxic Mist, especially because of how much one-way drops are on here. That Mist will be really, really useful if used correctly.
Yeah, limiting the amount of movement that Dembélé hat-trick has is going to be really good for Boys Who Cry. Both teams moving on to that zone there, both fighting for that cap. We know Museum is a little bit annoying to cap on, but Boys Who Cry is going to win it, but their pen goes down shortly after. And we see the members of Boys Who Cry trying to paint that zone. The blaster limiting how much Jared can paint. And the members of Boys Who Cry have to jump out there. But Jared trying to get any kind of sneaky pick. But Dembélé hat-trick is not going to allow it. The leader is set up and they're looking to take anyone out. Watching that flank. They know Jared's looking. They know Leafy's also there. They got to play a little bit more safer though.
Exactly, and if they're already taking advantage of that. They've gotten the pick onto the blaster first. Jared has now popped the crab tank, forcing the leader to back off. Same thing with the bucket. And if anything, this is the sign for Boys Who Cry to move forward. But unfortunately, I'm not really seeing a lot of movements. I think especially since Leafy went down early, and that's another stagger with only the Pencer Kyosuke left on the field, and the rest of Boys Who Cry forcing to try and retake. Jared has gone in alone on the flank to get rid of the bucket, and that they do. And once again, I feel like this should be the moment for Boys Who Cry to move in. We're already seeing Shadowwind move forward, popping their bubble, putting the zone into neutral. The sodas have come out. The strikes have come out here. The zone is still in Dembélé hat-trick's favor, and they're in the single digits, Matt. And is anyone from Boys Who Cry there to stop this? A splashdown comes out from the blaster, and that is a knockout.
And wow, what a performance. And especially on Boys Who Cry's counter pick too. Picking a map and then immediately the 0 to 100 KO for the other team. Boys Who Cry is really going to have to think, because now this is going to be their last counter pick. This is their last chance to pick a map. And with a quick game like that, the pressure is on them to win these next three. And Dembélé hat-trick, they're feeling really good about this. They've won the past 2 games. They only need to win one more game to proceed to grand finals. They're feeling really good about this, while Boys Who Cry, a lot of pressure is on them to win these next 3 games in a row, or they're going to be going down into the losers bracket.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a steeper climb if Boys Who Cry doesn't take this next game here. I think one thing that I noticed throughout, most of this game is that I think the retakes were a little bit less coordinated than that of Mako Mart here. I think we saw both either Leafy or Jared kind of go down the flank here on their own, and then next thing you know, I think Boys Who Cry was at least one member down on the retake. It was kind of just the mini as well as the pencil. But enough about that. Let's talk about Umami.
Oh wow. Okay. I mean, I think this is a good pick for them, and I think this is really going to benefit both Leafy and Jared. As the main offense of their team, they're going to be looking, they're the ones that are looking for those flanks. They're the ones looking for those fights. And this map is especially good for both Zipcaster and Crab. So I think this is really going to benefit them all the way through. But it's going to have to come down to this. They need to win this next game, or they're going to be sent down into the losers bracket. But I know they do not want that 3-0 sweep.
Man, Shadowwind has brought out a different mini for each game in this set right now. They have now brought out the Viper. So now we have beacons and we also have Zuka. And if those beacons can be put in a really good spot, it'll allow the more divey frontlines like Leafy and Jared to have an easy way back into the fight. Especially considering that there's a lot of space being taken away from them right now. It'd be really nice if there's just a good beacon in the pit or maybe close to the chair. Now Shadowwind has popped their Zuka here, and the rest of Boys Who Cry are barreling forward here. The bucket is half here. Shadowwind is trying to take them. I think it's Jared picking up the kill as well. We're now seeing the leader. The trap has come out from Jared. That leader is very low, and they're being forced to focus on a different zone. And unfortunately, I don't think a lot of paint is coming out on the zone that Jared was on. It's very neck and neck right now. But Dembélé hat-trick, we're still painting and just scoring even so further. They're at 73, even with 2 members down.
And right here, Boys Who Cry are finally taking control. It's the first time since game 1, I believe, but immediately Jared trying to go up on that plat, but immediately getting picked off by that leader. The cooler is out for Dembélé hat-trick. They're looking to move. The E-leader gets a pick, and another one goes down there, and that is their chance to move in here with those picks. Dembélé hat-trick is looking to take control. Shadowwind being forced to fight off that bucket is going to be huge. Gentlemen backing up a little bit, trying to take a more safer position to deal with that bucket. The bucket goes down there, but 2 down on the side of Boys Who Cry, and Dembélé hat-trick is back into control. We see Jared here behind them, just trying to at least distract them. The leader goes down there, and the bucket goes down to the Zuka, and Boys Who Cry has a chance to move in here.
And there it is. I think this is their moment to move. It's only the Zap left here. They have dropped their cooler, but all of Boys Who Cry are taking up Divider. They're trying to move towards the front of mid. Jared almost has their crab. I can almost assume that Seb has already dropped their sodas. They're really just trying to keep the paint and win this neutral game, especially with the bucket barreling forward and canceling Jared's crab. A lot of momentum is starting to be lost as the zone is in neutral. Seb is being forced to jump back to spawn here, and Dembélé hat-trick already has strikes ready to go. But Boys Who Cry, they're still able to hold on. They're holding this lead by a hair. Seb is almost at their cooler here, and Shadowwind will be able to wipe up that kill. They're able to get their Zuka out here. Seb has dropped the cooler now, and now Dembélé hat-trick, they are in control, but all of Boys Who Cry are now rallied together and potentially have a really strong retake on their hands.
They're looking for the opening they need. They need those picks here, but we do see immediately two players from the side of Boys Who Cry go down there, forcing the jump outs from the rest of the members here, and Dembélé hat-trick is back in control. That lead is slowly ticking down, and even those trades aren't going to help Boys Who Cry a lot. They need to get these picks here, and it's going to be really risky. The blaster just going in there, able to get 2 with the splashdown, forcing everyone just back all the way to spawn.
There's still, the blaster was there for so long, and then burned so much time. Do they know this bucket is here?
No,
Boys Who Cry, no! The bucket strikes, getting rid of Shadowwind, and they're securing a jump for the blaster to go for round 2. Jared is gonna pop the crab, but they're facing 2 weapons that can shred them easily, and now they're able to get to the next zone, put things back into neutral, and now go for round 3, Matt.
And another chance Dembélé hat-trick has. They want this KO really badly. 2 down on the side of Boys Who Cry. They're looking for that complete knockout. Jared getting stuck there to fight 2. The Zuka takes out the blaster. That blaster has been a huge threat. They gotta get rid of them if they want to push back here. It's just been applying so much space, and they have that splashdown ready. And they're slowly running out of time, but their Zap goes down there. This is their chance. Shadowwind painting that side of the zone there. Just trying to at least maintain the neutral control. But we see this bucket. They're on that shark again. They want to take out Shadowwind, but it's not going to work.
And right now, there's 1 minute left on the clock. Boys Who Cry have barely any penalty, but they have so much points to work through. It's only Seb and Leafy right now, and they need to hold the space with the 2 of them alone. And Leafy has popped their Zipcaster, but they are alone, and they're in a 1v4. Meanwhile, Seb has to get the rest of the team at least into mid, and now all 4 members of Boys Who Cry. No, there's 3 members, there's 1 member down. The strikes have come out from the bucket. The zone is into neutral, and it's heavily painted in Dembélé hat-trick's turquoise. Jared has gone down, the Zap has gone down, Shadowwind is trying to keep the left side of zone in their possession. Jared has dived in, able to get rid of the bucket. Now 2 members, 3 members are down on Boys Who Cry. The blaster has gone down. There's under 20 seconds left on the clock. Boys Who Cry only have 1 more shot to kick overtime into effect here, but already Leafy has gone down. There's a lot of space that is just painted in hat-trick's turquoise. The Zap is just putting up so much paint that maybe even Shadowwind can't even compete with, and that is the 3-0. Boys Who Cry have been swept, and they get sent down to losers bracket.
What an amazing fight we saw at the end, but I really want to point out the blaster on Dembélé hat-trick. I mean, that blaster really had it all. They were able to pretty much borderline spawn camp the members of Boys Who Cry completely. And even at the beginning of the game, it was back and forth at the beginning of the game. We saw them trading as much as possible. We saw both teams have control over that zone for a little bit, but really towards the midway point, we saw Dembélé hat-trick start to move in and start getting a little bit more control, and eventually they were able to take it.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure that is gray on Dembélé hat-trick on blaster there. And Who would tout Gray's abilities when
That
they're
makes
using the
sense.
Buster Blaster like that? And now we're seeing them go in. That Splashdown's able to secure 2, and then boom, their Flow State activates. They get rid of that Sprinkler here. They're already shredding down Seb here, and they get the jumps in for the bucket here. And then they took up so much of Boys Who Cry's time. That time that those two spent in their spawn doing their shenanigans really could have been spent doing a retake. That's like maybe around like almost half a minute being locked out like that. And then in a mode like zones, time is always going to be important.
Yeah, I mean, and still, Boys Who Cry were able to put up such a great fight against them. I mean, when you got 2 teams best of the best, it really comes down to a wire. And even with Dembélé's hat-trick dominant amount of dominance throughout this entire set, Boys Who Cry were still able to fight them until the end. Even if it was in 0-3, they still fought really well, especially in that last game. We saw a really good performance from both of those teams. But now Dembélé hat-trick is going to be going on into Grands, and Boys Who Cry is going to get sent down to losers. And
Yes.
that set did go a little bit faster than we thought. So we are going to be taking a little bit of a break, and we will be back for our next match shortly. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to In the Zone number 52. My name is Matthew Mega, and I'm here with Frostix, and we are going to be your commentators for our losers bracket round 5 set. We have Sushi, I believe, up against Content Cat's 9th live.
Yes,
live.
we were.
Ninth
Sorry.
live.
Content Cat's 9th life. Say that 5 times fast. Recently, we just witnessed our top 2 teams, Dembélé Hat-Trick and Boys Who Cry, duke it out in winners bracket, and now Boys Who Cry are seated at the end of losers bracket. So we're now seeing whether or not we're just gonna see which team will be taking them on in losers bracket. We're seeing Sushi consisting of Phoenix, Kiki, Datkid, and Rip, and then Content Cat's 9th life consisting of Pika, Kronos, Gimme, and Hawaiian. So this set, man, these first two maps, we're seeing Wahoo and then Undertow.
Yeah, I wouldn't have much fun here. But Wahoo World isn't that bad. Wahoo World isn't
Really?
as bad as a lot of people think. I feel like it's a tolerable one. I think it's tolerable.
I was gonna say that Undertow was gonna be the tolerable one of the two.
I
but
think they both are, but I mean, I'm just used to Wahoo World because Splatoon 2.
it was, yeah, I think I'm pretty sure back in like Splatoon 2 comp, Wahoo World was at least in some map lists. But we're now already going into things. We're seeing Kiki on the Blaster, Datkid on their Brush. We're seeing Phoenix on the 96 this time around, and Rip is going to be on the Pencil. Meanwhile, on Content Cats, Hawaiian is bringing in, it's the Chumps bow, and we love to see bow. I love to see bow at least.
Yeah, it's a little bit more uncommon that we even see Octobus show up, but great to see some of those more niche weapons being used a little bit more, especially at this high of a tournament level here. And immediately we see a triple coming down on the board, and Content Cat's 9th life is still in control over that zone there. Sushi stuck on the defense. That kid looking for an opening, able to get the pick off of Kronos, looking to get more though. Gimme going in for that back with the trade, but it's not going to take out the back exactly. And Sushi is looking to cap the zone, but Pika's in from behind, trying to get the picks, but they fall down and they can't do so.
If anything, Content Cats are just able to hold on for a hot minute. They're already halfway through their points here, but that kid Zipcaster will be able to secure a double, and Hawaiian is forced to jump back here. They're the last one left now that Content Cats is going to have to do a big retake, and Sushi has 3 specials online. They've already dropped their cooler. They've already gotten rid of Pika. That's pretty huge to get rid of Gal, because right now, I'm not sure if Content Cat has a lot of paint on their hands here. Kronos is going to be going down. They're far out of position here, and Hawaiian just can't find a way to enter so far, even with the chumps flying out here. And Sushi they're just having so much space to themselves, and they still have 2 more specials that they can pop now that this retake could potentially happen again.
And now here we see Content Cat trying to move in here. The question is, can they cap this zone? And it looks like the answer is yes, forcing the pen out of their base completely. Sushi, the entire team, forcing to take a little bit more of a safer approach here. Trade's coming on the map, but it's not going to help them too much here. But no, it looks like we see the 96 coming in there with an impressive double. Once again there, Kronos. And the double team between Kronos and Hawaiian able to take them out here. Content Cat really looking to take over that zone here, but it's going to be hard. This bow is doing a lot of the painting for them. That kid going down to that bow as well, and Content Cat has back control over that zone there. Just a 10-point lead, but they are looking to diminish that as soon as possible.
Not even just a 10-point lead. They've got Sushi has 40 of their own penalty points to go through here, and they're just constantly being stopped whenever a retake is happening. Even when Phoenix is popping this 96, we're already seeing Content Cats trying to level the sword, and Kronos able to get rid of Datkid and Phoenix, and Rip KO for the 4th. Can they get rid of Kiki to secure the quadra? No, but that triple should never be underestimated here, because now Content Cats are in the teens. They're almost in the single digits here. They're poised for a knockout, and Sushi, they have a splashdown ready to go, but they need to get on the zone fast here. The splashdown comes out, but Content Cat's 9th life will secure the knockout.
Keeping it up until the end, and they were able to come back even when they were put on defense for a little bit. That retake meant a lot, and it secured them that first game. And I mean, with a comp like theirs, I mean, Pika was doing a really good job with that gal, able to get the picks that they needed here, moving in, limiting the amount of paint that Sushi had completely. But I mean, Sushi as well, their 96 was really putting in work.
Yes, yes. Phoenix is just able to not just hold down retake, but also just start pushes with their Ink Vac. It's a really, really commonly seen special now for a reason. But I do also want to give a shout out to Kronos, because that tent shield is basically the width of all these choke points here. They just drop that tent shield, they move forward, and the rest of Content Cats move forward with it here. And then we're also, this is the triple here. Kronos picks up Phoenix, then they shoot down Dat Kid, shutting down their Zuka, then they get the pick onto Rip here. Kiki, unfortunately, they are outnumbered and they're forced to jump out. They do save their splashdown, but then you already see with that 10 shield again, Kronos, Hawaiian, and Pika, they're just able to take more space, shutting down Kiki then, and Dat Kid Zipcaster will not be able to claim anything there.
And I mean, what a match. Especially, I mean, with a tournament like in the zone where all of these games are going to be incredibly competitive, just everything is going to be super important. Every single pick is going to matter, and they've readied up really fast. I can't even talk. We're going on to Splat Zones, Undertow, and I believe we actually have these, no, different comps.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are the same. Kronos is still on the Zuka Tented. I'm pretty sure, yeah. Oh, no, Kiki's on Gal. That's
yeah, that's all I was looking at.
Two gals come out from Sushi, but unfortunately, Kiki has also gone down first.
Yeah, I mean, the double gal comp, a lot of power. They have a lot of offensive capabilities, but they do still need to use it to retake as well here. And we do see immediately Sushi taking that early control. Kronos getting stuck within 3 members of Sushi. But it looks like Sushi's able to keep it up. They're going to be taking that zone, forcing the members of Content Cat a little bit back more.
Yes, so it's only Pika and Hawaiian with Gimme charging up the Tacticooler for Content Cats, and already they've gotten rid of Dat Kid. That's a really strong start, getting rid of one of the more offensive members of Sushi here. The chumps are now coming out from Hawaiian, and Kronos and Pika are moving in tandem, but unfortunately Kronos will be beamed down by the Killer Whale, and Pika is left at half health, and Sushi are now pushing down into the 60s, now pressuring out the 50 threshold, but Pika is still able to get some paint down on the floor here, but now Kiki as well, as I think that's Phoenix holding down the other zones here. They're not allowing Content Cats to step any further, as they're now dipping past the 50s now into the 40 threshold.
I mean, what a great play we saw from Sushi there. Able to still maintain that control is going to be huge. Content Cat looking for a way in. We see Gimme on those dualies trying to find an opening. We see Hawaiian go down there. No, Kiki's able to get another one in a third. And they have completely taken control of the arena. And with that, Sushi is going to be taking a KO, forcing a tie 1-1. And we're going to be going on to a game 3.
Okay, so we're back-to-back on knockouts. What could we're back-to-back on knockouts, and we're now going to the last map in the set, which is going to be the one that's played a lot more. We're going to go on to Mahi Mahi for game 3. And interestingly enough, you know, like, we saw just how willing Sushi just did not allow Content Cats to step forward, really. I think, like, that's pretty much what Content Cats did to Sushi on Wahoo World.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bit of a turning table situation right now.
I feel like it's really dependent on the maps right now. And now we're going to be going on to Mahi. Now the question is, will Sushi keep the double gal comp? Because it worked very well for them. And it just had so much power behind it. 2 weapons that can 2-shot. Absolutely incredible. That combo off of each other. It's going to be really hard for Content Cat to at least deal with that in general. So going into this third game, they have to be ready to deal with that, especially if they want to keep that comp, because Sushi, they notice that comp works for them. They're going to be, I bet you that they're going to be using it again. And if it works, it works. And they want to use it to take this next set.
Definitely so. I think what Content Cats needs to try and work around is just shutting down either of the gals here. If they lose the 52, they're losing a little bit of the offensive edge. If they lose the 96, they lose a bit of the defensive edge here. And then they can start slowly overwhelming. And still, no switch-ups from Content Cats' 9th life here. They made it work on Wahoo World here. And I'd never underestimate the power of a bow and also the power of the tent. And even the Dapples as well. Those can break major ankles.
Going in here immediately. We see the zone quickly turning into Sushi's favor here, but Content Cat quick to cap it over, and it's just a fight for the zone now, but 2 down on the side of Content Cat, and it looks like Sushi is going to get this first push in here, forcing Content Cat onto offense. We see that back coming in there. That kid using it to rush in there, able to get one, and able to pop that Zipcaster into their base, able to get another one, and Sushi has complete control, and another one that kid just got. And immediately a complete knockout. I mean, a complete wipeout for Sushi, and they're completely just locking out the members of Content Cat.
They're staggering really hard. They consistently go 2 members, 3 members down here. And when you're just at a disadvantage here, you see what Sushi has done. 38 points within the first minute of the match, but now it has been equalized. 47 penalty points go on to Sushi as Content Cat has now retaken. Hawaiian does have their chumps ready to go, and if they can get those onto the field as Sushi is getting their retake on, that could be very, very useful for the rest of Content Cats. The chumps fly out. Unfortunately, Gimme will be going down to that kid who gets traded out by Kronos, who is watching this left drop with intent. They're laying down the mines. They're halfway towards their Zuka here. They're trying to stop out another potential retake from Sushi as they're now moving in, especially with Kiki's back here. Gimme is going to be trying to move on the behind, but they are dealt with. But the damage has been dealt, and the lead has been lost. And Content Cats, they're still counting down.
I mean, especially with the amount of offense Sushi has been shown, Content Cat still keeping it up there, taking the lead, 24-38 now. And it's up to Sushi to get that penalty out of the way and get this score down here. And Content Cat isn't going to let them do it that easily. They're already looking in to make a push.
They are looking to push. Unfortunately, they go 2 members down, and that's not what you want to happen on your retakes here. Even still, Sushi still has a little bit more of a penalty to work with. We're seeing Phoenix burn their vac to get rid of one person, and since it wasn't aimed on the retaking members of Content Cat, they are able to retake, and that vac shot won't even paint the zone. 3 members of Sushi go down. It's only Pika and Hawaiian left to fend off against Kiki, but Pika will be able to get the jump on them. Kiki is low, and Kiki goes down now to Kronos, and Content Cats, they are once again counting down. Unfortunately, Hawaiian will be dropped before they can pop the chumps. That's going to be really detrimental because those chumps could provide very, very good utility, and now they're going 2 members down. Kronos has gone down. It's only Gimme left, and now Sushi are right back into control.
2 minutes remaining, and the score is pretty low for both of these teams here. Sushi has control. They're looking to move in there, able to get the pick off of Hawaiian, but Kronos able to clean it up. Pika looking to make a move on the left side, that back stopping them. There goes that whale, forcing Kiki to take a different position, but that kid able to get a pick there onto the zone. They're looking to move in there. Hawaiian gets taken down by that kid, and Pika is able to trade out so many trades we've seen.
Yes, the offensive capability of the Gal will always be a cornerstone of this meta. That you said it had the ability to 2-shot, and then that's just what I think we're seeing Pika do. They're just cleaning up these fights that occur on the left side of Content Cat's map here. Kronos has now popped their Zuka here. The sodas are coming out from Sushi, and they definitely need those, especially with Phoenix going down. That's a solid pick for Content Cats. They are now in the single digits. It's all or nothing for Sushi. They need to get paint on the zone, but they're already at least 1 member down, and I don't think a single Octo Rush will be able to put that into neutral. And with another knockout, Content Cat's 9th life will be able to take this set. The upset is real. They have knocked out Sushi.
And what a comeback from game 2. I mean, Sushi had so much control over that second game. It was a complete wipeout. And even the beginning of game 3, we saw Sushi take so much control over the map there. And even with that in mind, Content Cat was able to keep it up all the way until the end. And even against that double Gao comp, they were able to come out on top there with so much aggression against them. They were still able to pull it off and take this win. But I mean, as you can see here, Sushi was just in their faces. They had such a great beginning to this game there. They're able to get so much control, and Content Cat was able to come back just in time and were able to get that KO there. And they're going to be winning losers quarters, and we're going to be moving on, and they're going to be moving on to losers semifinals.
Yes, Content Cat's 9th life are now moving on to losers semis to take on Pinch. And man, If anything, this could be a team to look out for if you are Boys Who Cry at the end of losers bracket here. You gotta be watching out for that 10 shield, for the chumps, for a Dapple that could be behind you. But until are we already? I'm noticing that we're already seeing Pinch and Content Cat's 9th life over ahead of us. I'm not even sure if we'll need to go into a break, but
I don't think we do. I don't think we
maybe.
do. They're already ready.
Are they?
No, we are gonna break.
Okay, we are breaking. So
the voices tell me we break.
yes, so don't go anywhere. In the Zone 52, we'll be back in a bit for losers bracket semifinals. Yeah, so when I said we'll be back in a bit, I was not lying. Welcome back to In the Zone 52. For those just tuning into stream, I'm Frostic and I'm joined on my... That's the wrong direction. On my left with Matthew Mega. And
On your left.
On my left. And we're now in losers bracket semis. We just watched Content Cat's 9th life take the win against seed number 4 Sushi. Now they're going up against seed 8 Pinch.
This is going to be an interesting match. I mean, we saw Content Cat was able to scrape their way with their cat claws all the way up to losers semifinals, and they're up against seed number 8 Pinch. The question is, are they able to claw their way into losers finals, or is this where they run out of lives?
Yes, we saw the members of Content Cats, Pika on the Gal, Kronos on the Tent, Gimme on the Vanilla Dapples, and Hawaiian on the Chumps Bow, but now they're going up against Reiki, Uni, Toady, and Mathis on Pinch, and we're opening the set on... on Barnacle and Dime. Sorry, I saw Wahoo again, and I have a gut feeling this may just be Content Cat's home turf.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how well they were able to do in Mahi, so I feel like they would play well here as well. But we never know. I mean, I feel like that Tent and Dapples combo could potentially be scary in my opinion. Or even with the 10 and 52, I think any combo with 10 can be super dangerous, and Pinch is going to have to deal with that.
Definitely so. And we're seeing them bring a comp of Stamper, Gal, Pencil, and Bucket. Really traditional on their end, but they're making it work. 2 members of Content Cats go down as Zuni is taking a lot of initiative here, but now they're being, unfortunately being punished off here. They're still having a lot of space in mid, but they're being forced to back off now as Content Cats are moving in.
Immediately we see the Dapples looking to find an opportunity to move with the Bucket. Able to take them out here. Pinch has a lot of control. 3 down the side of Content Cat. Pinch all the way up on their plat now, looking to take literally complete control. They have almost everything on lockdown, but we do see their Gal going down here. They're gonna have to play a little bit more safer, which is exactly what we're gonna be doing here. We see the chumps coming in here, trying to force Pinch back a little bit more, but we see those Dapples. They are gonna be taking out there, and we see the fight. We see all the people in the stack on the side of Content Cats, but with those strikes completely forcing them back even more, it's gonna be really risky here.
Very risky indeed, especially with Pinch almost in the tens or the teens now. But now Content Cats are able to flip the zone. 59 penalty points applying to Pinch here. They're stopping the bleeding a bit here, but I think Pinch are already looking back to open the wound here as the zone goes back into neutral, and the Gal is trying to move in to take some more space and continue this lockout. The Gal is unfortunately going down here. We're already seeing Reiki move in with their Zipcaster pressuring out the bow. They're able to just dance their way around it here as Reiki's now jumping back to their recall points. They're now assembling on plats, trying to get their retake, but they're going 2 members down. That's 3, and Hawaiian is forced to jump out.
And I mean, Content Cat has been completely on defense for the past 2 minutes. It's been very hard for them to push back in here. And as I say that, Pinch goes 2 down, 3 down, and Content Cat is back to move, and another one goes down there. All of the members of Pinch are respawning, and Content Cat has a chance to come back here. They have control over their sector, but their 10 goes down immediately. That's going to be really scary for them. Pinch looking for whatever openings that they can find to move in and take control.
Very definitely. Especially when Pinch goes 3 members down like this here, Content Cats needs to capitalize off that. And that they do with Chrono, Suzuka, and Gimme being in their base, setting up beacons. And now they're halfway through their points. Gimme needs to find a way to either get out or win this 1v3. And that they do. They're able to get rid of one person. Reiki's now moving in. Gimme's now going for Mathis. Their flow state is activated. They're just waiting for Reiki to come back. And Content Cats, they could be able to take this lead here. They're able to trade out Reiki and take this lead with Content Cats being in the teens. They're trying to enter the single digits. The zone is now in neutral as Pinch are looking to retake it, but Content Cats, they're still counting down. They're in the single digits. Zone is now into neutral, but the paint still comes out from Content Cats' 9th life, and they get another comeback knockout.
I'm gonna say it again. I just said it, and I'm gonna say the same pun, and you guys are gonna kill me for it. They are crawling their way through these games. And I mean, wow, Pinch had so much control at the beginning. I mean, we saw how quick they were moving in. We saw how much control they were taking at the beginning of that game there. And even with all of that on the line, Content Cat was able to get their way back onto the zone, take control, get the retakes that matter. I mean, Pinch literally down to 23 immediately. And even with that on the line, they're slowly but surely, Content Cat made their way to take control. And I mean, just what a game from them.
Yeah, I think we saw that Pinch was already eager to take space, literally like off the jump. But I think Content Cats did it harder. You saw how far Gimme went. They put the beacons in for themselves and for the rest of their team, which allowed Content Cats to stay in plat here. And then they pushed even further into court. You saw Gimme go in. You saw Pika go in. You saw Kronos firing off with their Zuka. And then you have Hawaiian just leveling things out with the chip and the paint and the chumps that bow kit can offer here. And you know, those cat claws are sharp and they're ready to slash.
Yeah, I mean, going into this next game, we're back on Wahoo. And this is what Content Cat won on, correct?
Yes,
yes. So this is gonna really favor them here. So Pinch has to be a little bit more careful. I mean, we saw how well they can play on aggro. But when Content Cat is locking them out there, they're doing a great job of that. And I feel like one of the keys for doing that is their Stringer, I feel like. Stringer is just one of those backlines that has slowly been rising up in the scene and still hasn't been used a lot. And I think it's because there aren't a lot of bow players around right now. But Hawaiian is one of those players.
Yeah, Hawaiian's just making really good work of the incline bow, just putting a lot of good, like I already mentioned it earlier, chip, paint, chumps, CPC, if you will. They're putting up big chip painted chumps for the rest of Content Cats. So another thing that I would want to, before I say that, they did switch to a shot. I'm not sure who switched to a shot, but there is at least one V shot on Pinch. I think that's Reiki. Oh, that's not even Reiki, that's Uni.
Immediately moving in here, we see both teams heading in for that zone here, but we do see Uni going on to that splatter shot. So we do see that comp change from Pinch, but will that be enough to give them that win? It might just be a weapon problem. But immediately we see the cooler going out there, but Content Cat is quick to react. They have control of the zone, and they're forcing Pinch back immediately.
Yeah, that's exactly like what we saw against them and Sushi here. They just take so much space here, and now they're forcing them to try and do their retake here. But now the zone is into neutral, and now even when the zone is put into neutral, they're right back into the swing of things here. So now, yeah, they're still in this. They're halfway through their points here, and then there it is. That's what I wanted to mention. That every single choke point on this map is exactly 10 shield size, and then when you have Kronos just watching down these chokes, blocking them out, and defending them with the Zuka here, it's hard to break in. And look at this damage being dealt. Content Cat are already in the 20s.
I mean, they're really moving in here. Pinch has not gotten a good chance to cap this zone. They're 2 down. And it's going to come down to this last bit of paint, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. This pen cannot stop it. And Content Cat, instead of crawling their way back, they just took it.
Yeah.
They took it and ran. And that's going to be a 2-0 for Content Cat. And they're going to be moving on to losers finals.
You know, it's no matter how... no matter how steep the drop is in losers bracket, you must know that cats always land on their feet. So they are up there right now here. They beat Seed 4, and then they take the 2-0 set sweep in semis. So they have the potential to just get rid of Boys Who Cry entirely. They could go for a second upset.
Yeah, and going in here, they have a lot on the line here, so they're going to have to take a second, take a breather, which is exactly what we're going to be doing as we are going to be preparing for our losers final set for Content Cat versus Boys Who Cry that we saw previously in the winners final. So we will be back very shortly with that set. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to In the Zone number 52. My name is Matt, and I'm back with Frostix, and we'll be your commentators for our losers' final set. We have the return of Boys Who Cry versus the Cats that have literally clawed their way up into the losers' final spot. Content Cat's 9th life, and as we were looking at the bracket, we actually realized this is a rematch from earlier in the tournament.
Yes. If in fact Boys Who Cry, I'm pretty sure we're the team that knocked down Content Cats into the losers bracket. But let it be known that Content Cats did take Boys Who Cry all the way to a game 5. So if we have learned anything off of this one thing that we have just learned probably like a couple minutes ago, this set could be huge.
So I mean, it was a game 5 set, so it was an incredibly close set all the way through. And Content Cat, I know they want to have a little bit of revenge on them. And I mean, this is, and just to note, Content Cat was seeded 10. This is C10 versus C2. This is Content Cat has already had an incredible performance throughout this tournament. They were not expected to get this far, and here they are in the top 3, and they have a chance to go into grand finals and get a revenge set against Boys Who Cry. And the question is, can they do that? Well, we are going to be finding out now.
Really big matchup of reruns here. Will Content Cats get the rerun here, or will Boys Who Cry be able to get their rerun against Hat Trick in finals? We'll see now, as Boys Who Cry will be able to take. Boys Who Cry will be taking an early zone here. Shadowwind sticking with their Zimmy here, but unfortunately they're getting dropped by Gimme, who is then getting dropped by Jared, who is then getting dropped by Pika. And now, after all these chumps have exploded, it is Content Cats who are taking a very, very strong opening as they're now moving in to Boys Who Cry's court.
And it looks like Boys Who Cry, they have that cooler, but their pen goes down. It's going to be hard for them to move around. Pika completely having that right spot on lockdown. Jared coming in from behind, able to get the pick off of Pika. And Boys Who Cry are going to be moving in. They're 3 down the side of Content Cat. And Boys Who Cry take control.
Let it be known, though, that Hawaiian is still alive, and they have kept their chumps, which is going to be really good for a retake, and especially with Jared going down now, and I think Shadowwind already being a little bit out of positioning, committing their bubble too early here. Gimme is going to be able to secure some picks. They're also going to be getting rid of Shadowwind, clearing up Boys Who Cry, going 2 members down, and Pika is already looking to contest the islands to prevent any more retakes from Boys Who Cry, and they're already working their way through their penalties. They're in the teens, almost in the single digits of their penalty, just keeping a very strong chokehold on this zone, getting rid of Leafy with Bazooka as well.
And immediately moving in here, Boys Who Cry looking, they need to retake soon. Jared goes down to Kronos. Content Cat looking super strong here, 3 down on the side of Boys Who Cry. Gimme with those Dapples moving up here, unable to get a pick off of Jared, but Jared gets taken down with that trailer. They still have a lot of control here. Leavy trying to move in there, getting picked up by Kronos. And this is just a fight for the paint. And we do see the cap though, but is it enough?
Oh, it's only Pika left, and one gal cannot outpaint the entirety of Boys Who Cry. And they're trying to stay alive here. They're on a sliver of health, and they're finally going down to Leafy. But the damage that has been dealt within the last minute by Content Cats is immense. But Boys Who Cry, they're already stepping on the gas pedal, and they're really trying to get their control back here. They're already going to be able to clear away half of their points here, getting their own chokehold on the zone, canceling out Gimme before they can do any more shenanigans on their side of the zone here. Will a retake from Content Cat be real? Because Hawaiian has gone down as well.
It's really going to be going down to the wire. They practically need a KO. PK, wait, 2 down. It's down to a 2v2. The fight for the zone has started. Jared able to pick up the Dapples, but Kronos able to pick up Jared, and it's just true that PK is able to take out Leafy, and Boys Who Cry take back control. And I mean, we're 2 minutes in, and this is an even lower scoring game that we saw before for Content Cat, and they are really holding on for dear lives here, while Boys Who Cry are looking to make another push. Leafy gets the pick off of Pika, and it's time for them to move in.
Yes, it's time indeed, especially now that Shadowwind has their bubble. They can secure so much more space here. Jared has popped their crab as well. Hawaiian has gone down. Same thing with Kronos, and those are two very vital members here. That's their supportive and defensive core. And now we're already seeing Content Cat starting to struggle, starting to also, they're starting to struggle, they're starting to stagger. And Hawaiian's gone down yet again, and Boys Who Cry are now out of their penalty. They do go one down, two members down here. Boys Who Cry are in the teams, but the zone is in neutral. Gimme has gone down. It's Kronos and Pika, but Kronos has gone down. Pika is trying to put paint on the floor. Leafy is trying to dive and chase after them. Hawaiian is putting paint and chip and chumps on the floor. The CPC combo is trying to come out here. They're in the single digits here. It is close. The chumps are live. Jared's crap comes out. The penalty gets reapplied to Boys Who Cry. There's 40 seconds left on the clock here. This could be anyone's game, Matt.
I mean, we have less than a minute remaining. Both teams in the single digits. Team players going down left and right. Boys Who Cry are 3 down, 2 down on the side of Content Cat, though. They're keeping up that pain. Pika coming in from behind, trying to force Jared out of there. Able to get the pick off of Jared, but Boys Who Cry are looking back to take the zone. They have it capped. It's a desperate fight for that zone there. Boys Who Cry able to cap it for a little bit, but Content Cat is still able to keep up.
Ooh. And they're forcing a jump out of Seb too, and that's one of their heaviest painters here. And Leafy is isolated, but they're able to get rid of Kronos. The Zipcaster comes out. Will overtime be real for Boys Who Cry? 1 second left on the clock. Overtime. Does it happen? Content Cat's 9th life takes game 1.
Okay. I didn't expect this to be so competitive, guys. It's only game 1. Just a 4-point difference there. Or yes, 4-point difference there. Content Cat takes game 1 of the losers final set here. And I mean, what a match through and through. And even though Content Cat almost had that KO, Boys Who Cry were able to shut them down completely and force their members back. And Boys Who Cry really rolled their score down. I mean, it was 72-2, and they came all the way back from that. Content Cat was able to stop them at 21, but even with that, Boys Who Cry took that. They knew they could push even further, and they did exactly that. They were able to push in, taking another really nice score there, but we don't even get a chance to talk about it because we're going into game 2 on Museum. Let's see what these two teams are going to give us now.
So this is the counter pick from Boys Who Cry, and they brought this out against Hat-Trick all the way back in Winners Finals. And really, when you have Leafy zipping around and just making use of all the verticality, and you have a lot of these elevated spaces for Shadowin and Jared to make advantage of, we're already seeing Kronos trying to take an early flank alone. They're in a 1v4 right now here, but they're able to get rid of Leafy with them here. Shadowin is already taking some damage as well. And okay, before I go back into the play-by-play, there's one thing I really wanted to point out, at least now that we're... okay, it still applies since Jared's still running the crab tank. We're seeing... You have Hawaiian here running the bow. That can shred. And I guess also the bubble from Shadowwind if they go back to Vimy. Yeah, if they go... No, not Vimy, a Zimmy.
I mean, what an amount of control here. But Boys Who Cry are able to cap it 68 on the side of Content Cats. But Boys Who Cry are going to be slowly diminishing that. They want to take the lead early and just hold it out, just like Content Cat did in the previous game. The question is, are they going to be able to do that? We see Kronos immediately on their flat, trying to distract that main painter. And the question is, can they do that? It's getting a little risky. Boys Who Cry still, their score is going down there. Down to 58 though, and they are still making it even a bigger of a lead as they can. They want to accentuate it as much as possible, and Content Cat is looking to stop them at all costs here. Jared looking in, trying to get the pick off of Hawaiian, but it's not going to work. Pika takes off Shadowwind, and Content Cat is able to keep it up there. They have control over that zone and forcing Boys Who Cry out immediately. And I mean, they want as little damage as possible to happen to their side here. Content Cat needs to take this lead soon here, but it's going to be a little bit risky. Shadowwind takes out Hawaiian with a sneaky Zuka, and Boys Who Cry is back in control over the zone. 2 down the side of Content Cat, and Boys Who Cry are looking to lock down Content Cat at whatever means necessary.
Whatever means necessary, indeed. And we're already seeing Jared bring out the crab tank on the mid spinner here, shutting down beacons placed down by Gimme as well is going to be huge. Now Leafy is diving in with the Zipcaster, and alongside Jared is able to get rid of Hawaiian, and they really want to make sure that Bo is not on the field for a while. They do not want to deal with chip paint and chumps, and they're already out of their penalty here. They're now in the 20 threshold, moving in to the teens here, and Shadowin's going to be able to get a pick onto Gimme. They have their Zuka ready to rip here against the members of Content Cats, who are still on the plat. They have not stepped into mid, and they need to right now here, but the chumps come out. Pika is hidden amongst them, but that don't matter because Boys Who Cry will respond with a clap back, and a knockout of their own.
Taking game 2, tying it up. The score is 1-1. Boys Who Cry taking their counter pick home, and now it's going to be Content Cat's counter pick, and the question is, what are they going to bring to the table? What can they use to completely shut down the members of Boys Who Cry? And I mean, it's gonna be.
I think I have an idea.
You have an,
I have an assumption of what map they could choose. Yeah,
what is your assumption? What's your hunch?
Well, I don't know. We've seen them thrive on this map for the last 2 sets. I don't know. Maybe did they? I'm unsure if they did bring it.
I swear to God, if you say it, what I think you're saying.
I'm gonna look into their history. I'm gonna see if they actually played out on that map in winners bracket round 3. They did not actually. They didn't bring out the map I was thinking of for their winners bracket.
I already know what he's talking about.
But if we go back to the Sendo screen, oh, we're still waiting on their counter pick actually. And wouldn't you know it? Content Cat's ninth life chooses Wahoo World.
Yep, I knew it. We've seen them strive on it. We've seen them beat their opponent twice in 2 different sets on this map. They're bringing out their best of the best. We got Wahoo World. They want to take this game. They want to go 2-1 here. And the question is, will Boys Who Cry allow that? And I don't think they will. They're going to really be fighting. If they win on their counter pick, it's going to be huge for Boys Who Cry.
Exactly, because at that point, what would be left for Content Cats to give them an edge if they pick a map that would also benefit Boys Who Cry? But going into this game, already Jared has gone down, and that's a really strong start. Getting rid of a very adaptive frontline and midline like Jared is going to be huge, and potentially getting rid of Leafy as well in Pika's hands, also huge. That's basically their entire frontline being dropped right then and there, but Shadowwind is being forced out of position, and they go down to Pika. Jared trying to just escape the threat that is Chronos, that is Pika, and now they go down to Pika as well. This is Content Cat's home turf for a reason.
I mean, they're already on lockdown. Boys Who Cry, they have specials, but no, they're 2 down here with Content Cat, and another one goes down there. Gimme able to take out Shadowwind, and another, and that is a wipeout. And Content Cat, I mean, this is their match. They are pushing in. They're already at the 30s. They're now going into the 20s. Boys Who Cry are desperately looking for an opening. The crab gets popped there, but it's not going to be able to do much with the Dapples taking them out there. Leafy on the zone, trying to paint them, but they're 3 down, and Content Cat completely has them on lockdown. And with that wipeout, with another wipeout, Content Cat takes game number 3. The score is 2-1 in their favor.
You do not just fight Content Cats on Wahoo World and expect to win. And now the set is in Content Cat's favor. And wow, what a performance from Gimme and Pika. They are moving like prime Batman and Robin right now.
I've never actually heard that analogy being used, but yeah, that pretty much sums it up there. I mean, wow.
Robin analogy a lot.
I mean, wow. What a performance from Content Cat. I mean, able to just wipe them out. I believe those 3 wipeouts we saw.
3. Yeah,
those
3.
3 wipeouts we saw that Content Cat had on Boys Who Cry. I mean, they're probably mad that they knock him down to losers. I mean, I would be too, especially if it was a game 5. But Content Cat had a crazy losers run this tournament. I mean, they've won the past 4 sets leading up to losers finals here, and now it's coming down to this. We didn't even see the counter pick. We're actually okay. There's the counter pick. We're going into Haggle. Boys Who Cry are picking Haggle for game number 4, and the question is, does it come down to here? Will Content Cat take this, or will Boys Who Cry win this and force a game 5?
Will another Game 5 set happen? It's up to Hagglefish. And already, we're still seeing Shadowin stick with the Viper Mini. They haven't gone back to V, or they haven't gone to Vanilla or Zinc Mini in a hot minute here, because I think just the amount of utility that the Beacons, as well as the Zuka, it provides a lot more aggression to Boys Who Cry's comps. And already, Kronos was trying to flank, but now Content Cat goes 2 members down. Gimme was not able to thrive there with a slip of health here. Now, unfortunately, I don't know if those jumps are going to be living. Pika goes down. Kronos is trying to move on their own, but they go down as well. And this is a really solid staggering that Boys Who Cry is doing. And look, they're already in their spawn.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the opposite of what happened in previous game here. Boys Who Cry completely locking out Content Cat now. This is a map that favors them a little bit more, a map that these players are more familiar on. And immediately pushing in here, down into the 40s. Leafy trying to get any picks that they can, but it's not going to work there. They're going to get taken. Actually, no, they don't get taken out there. Oh, but Shadowin, or I think I don't even know what happened. The Zuka takes out Shadowin, but another trade happens on the board here. But look at this. We are down into the 10s now for Boys Who Cry.
Yeah, Content Cats needs to cap this in fast. They have gotten rid of Jared, and Kronos has popped their Zukas, and we're also seeing the Chumps come out here, but Shadowin is going to be able to get rid of Pika. That's really strong for them because you do not want to be dealing with a Rampaging Gal, and Shadowin Zuka is going to be able to get rid of, I think that's Leafy or Gimme again, and Pika just cannot catch a break right now as Boys Who Cry are right back into control. They're in the single digits here. They can just practically play retake this entire game, but now Content Cats, they're starting to kick back into things here. They have probably dealt with both Shadowwind and I think also Leafy as well, but now Leafy's back into the swing. They're right back. They're able to get rid of Hawaiian, and the Zuka's coming out as well.
I mean, wow. The amount of aggression we've seen from Boys Who Cry compared to last game is incredible. We've seen how fast they are here moving up here, and there's a reason why they are some of the best in the West here. Pika looking for any kind of opening that they can. Jared in their base just trying to be a nuisance to them. There go those chumps painting over that zone. Content Cat is able to pick it back up there, forcing the members to work a little bit harder there. But with those Zukas coming in here, it looks like Boys Who Cry are still trying to take back that zone, but Content Cat isn't letting them have it easily. Down into the 50s now for Content Cat. They need to get these picks. They need to get what matters here, but their Dapples goes down to Leafy on the offense, going to take out Kronos. Kronos gets taken out by Leafy. It's a 2v2 on the map, though. We see Pika painting over it. They do have the zone still. It's coming down a little bit closer than we thought here. Oh, everyone's painting. Everyone's painting on this map here. Kronos with that 10 shield, able to apply a little bit more cover. Leafy goes down there, though. That's going to be risky, but they are able to cap it before anything really big is down here. And now Content Cat has to deal with a 30 penalty.
Can I just say, Content Cats were able to put out probably as much paint as a pencil, a mini, and also a crab tank? That's just kind of crazy to me, but now the chumps are coming out. The Zuka came out from Kronos earlier as the zone goes right back into the control of Content Cats here. Seb is being forced into a little bit of a pickle here. The crab gets shredded out by Kronos, but Kronos goes down to Seb here. But Seb is forced into switch. There's a Zuka and a Zip ready to come out, and the Zuka comes out from Shadowin. The zone is in neutral. Leafy has gone down, and I think right now for Content Cats, you need to get rid of Seb the pencil on 10 2. You need to find a way to pressure them off of 10 because they're just constantly getting free paint. But Content Cats are in the teens. They're approaching the single digits. The chumps come out, and the 2 members down. They take the lead. This could be their game. It's 1 minute now left on the clock. It is now in... It's single digit to single digits. 50 seconds left on the clock here. The whales come out here. This is a similar situation to Mahi Mahi right now. And if we learn anything from Mahi Mahi, Content Cats can thrive in the most unlikely of situations.
Getting picked off by Kronos. Content Cat back into control. It's a 3v2 on the zone here. Content Cat has control. We're down into the final 30 seconds here. Content Cat, they're 2 down though. Boys Who Cry are looking to take back control. It's just a 2-point lead. Jared with that crab, they're on top. They're trying to shred out the members of Content Cat, but it's not going to work here. We see the fight. The Dapples and the Doolies trade out each other. A 3v2 onto the zone. Boys Who Cry desperately trying to take that zone back. Content Cat trying their best to show them out. They have it. Leafy trying to take out Kronos. Kronos gets taken out their last 10 seconds. But Content Cat still has control.
It's 3 seconds left. The zone is now into Boys Who Cry. Overtime is real. Boys Who Cry need to work with 40 of their own penalties, and Content Cat just needs to cap it once. The zone is once again into neutral. It is all or nothing for Boys Who Cry. And no, it is not enough for Boys Who Cry. They will not be seeing grand finals. It is Content Cat's 9th life.
Wow. And I mean, number one, what a set for them. Number two, what a revenge set from them. Coming from a Game 5 loss against Boys Who Cry earlier on in the tournament, Content Cat takes game number 4. It's a 3-1 win, knocking Boys Who Cry out of the tournament down to 3rd place. But I mean, what an incredible amount of high-level games we've seen from everybody so far.
Yeah. If anything, I think this map is where both of these teams really clashed here. We saw, I think a battle of Zukas between Shadowwind and Kronos, a battle of dualies between Gimme and Jared, a battle of backlines between Seb and Hawaiian, and probably like a battle of midlines between Leafy and Pika, and just both of these teams clashing, and then they went all the way both into single digits. It's the same situation as Mahi Mahi. And I said earlier, if we learned anything from Mahi Mahi, the Cats can thrive in the most perilous of situations. No matter how far they drop, no matter how dangerous the fall may be, Cats will always land on their feet.
Wow. I mean, what a fight, especially at that end. Those final few seconds in overtime really mattered so much, and Content Cat was able to save it, a 2-point lead, and what a game. And with that being said, Boys Who Cry down to 3rd place. Content Cat is now prepared to fight the most dominant team of the entire tournament. They're going to be going up against Dembélé Hattrick in grand finals.
And this team, they 3-0'd Boys Who Cry. So it's going to be one heck of a match for them. And if they want to secure their 3rd upset of this tournament run, they'll need to win this all. So don't go anywhere. In the Zone 52 will reach its thrilling conclusion in a bit. Okay, all journeys must come to an end, and the end of In the Zone 52 will be ending with Dembélé Hattrick and Content Cat's 9th life. Welcome to the final set, grand finals of In the Zone 52. For those just tuning in, I am Frostix, and I'm joined over to my left by Matthew Mega.
Oh wait, wrong way. There we go. Now
Left.
I'm looking at you. Now I'm looking at you as I stare at a blank wall. What an amazing amount of games we've seen so far in this tournament. And especially, we've been talking about them the entire time. Content Cat. Wow. They've gotten so many great sets. And here they are in the grand finals, fighting the best of the best. The only other team that beat Boys Who Cry as well. We're starting off on zones Mahi. We saw how close this was last time. The question is, how close will it be this time? Will Dembélé struggle, or will Dembélé just lock out how they did in winners finals?
And we're seeing Hattrick bring out the leader this time. I think they've brought out the leader for maps like Mahi, and I think Makomart as well here. So if you are content cats, especially Gimme and Pika, you really want to be watching out for that leader. You do not want to be unceremoniously popped like that, and that they do. They get rid of the leader, but unfortunately content cat also goes 2 members down.
Immediately we see both teams moving in to take that zone. Kronos goes down. We see that Blaster coming in here, trying to force them out there. And we do see a very risky jump, but it ended up working. We see Gimme on those Dapples, trying to rush in their Kronos, able to get that pick with the Zuka. Content Cat moving in here to take that zone here. The Bucket being forced to fight multiple members of Content Cat. But they are able to get taken out by the Dapples. The Zap able to clean it up, though, just well. But Content Cat does have control of the zone. It's up to Dembélé to push back in.
It is very, they really need to find a way to probably work through the 10 shield that is always being brought out by Kronos here. And Gray's splashdown is opening up the floor for Dembélé Hattrick here. They've already gone 2 members down, but Gimme, oh, that's not even Gimme, that's Pika in their backline, causing them to stall out a bit. It's only Gimme left, but Gimme is just thriving in all of the chaos here, but no, they get shut down by Gray on the custom blaster here, but they're now being met by Kronos and the rest of Content Cat here. Pika's now on the floor. We're seeing Hawaiian being pressured out by Gray, but no, they go down to Pika. The chumps come out by Hawaiian here. The Bucket is now in a 2v1. They get taken down by Kronos here, and it's up to the Zap and the leader, who I'm pretty sure is Noah here, and it's a 1-point lead. And if anything, Content Cat are starting to break out of their own penalty. And what is it? Are we halfway through this match, and the water level still hasn't gone down? I think it's going to go down now.
Yeah, but it's going to go down in Content Cat's favor here. They have the control, but as I say that, we see some picks happening onto the board there. Everyone's up. Everyone is fighting. Hawaiian has such a dominant control over that zone here, but Dembélé Hattrick is looking into moving in, and they are able to cap that zone. Content Cat still fighting for it, but we see that Bucket trying to limit the amount of impact Hawaiian can have there. Especially if Hawaiian's out of the way, Dembélé Hattrick could just move in and take the zone. Hawaiian is the one thing keeping them from doing that.
And once again, Hawaiian's able to jump out and keep their special charge here. Hawaiian's just constantly been on top of that. But I think Content Cat, they just went 2 members down even as they were respawning here. A little bit of a stagger, not even before their retake started. But Gimme, they're once again trying to do some very bold plays, but they get punished out by Noah, and they go 3 members down. It is only Pika, and now Hattrick are able to take this lead and are pushing their threshold into the 20s.
And I mean, what an amount of control here. It's really going to come down to the wire. The blaster goes down there though, but Dembélé still trying to keep that zone, but Content Cat is not going to let that happen. They have control. The leader looking for any picks to try to at least delay Content Cat's complete lockout here. Hawaiian doing a great job of supporting their team here. There goes the strikes from the Bucket, capping that zone and taking it completely for Dembélé. That the penalty is just going to be absolutely incredible and a really great resource, but it looks like they have the control. They have to work through a 50 penalty though if they want to push their lead even further.
Now there's around 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the clock. The clock is now ticking for Content Cats, and they haven't even broken out here. Pika tries to step forward, but they get taken out by either Gray or the Zap. We're also seeing Gimme go down as well here. 1 minute, 20 seconds left on the clock. The chumps come out from Hawaiian, but Hattrick, they're almost out of their penalty, and Noah's going to be able to get the snipe onto Hawaiian like that. The chumps are able to get rid of Noah. 3 members are down on Hattrick, and Content Cat are flipping the table and are right back into control here. They need to work through basically their own point total twice if they want to get this knockout with 1 minute left on the clock.
I mean, moving in here. Again, less than a minute remaining. Their Zap goes down. Their Content Cat, they have their chance to do so. Their penalty is about over. They're 3 down, though. They're 3 down. And the Bucky gets taken out as well. Content Cat is looking to take this lead.
It's deadly close right now, as Content Cat are now in the teens. Kronos has their Zuka, but no other specials are online from both teams. Here comes the Zuka from Kronos. Noah's able to get the shot onto Hawaiian. Content Cat take the lead. It's the single digits, the strikes, the splashdown come out. It's not enough. Matt, it's not enough.
Just was a little bit too short. If they had an extra second, they would have taken that zone, but no. Content Cat staying alive, taking game number 1.
Man. Wow, okay, so the Mahi theory stays, like, the Mahi theorem stays true for Content Cats, it seems. No matter how hard no matter how difficult the situation is, Content Cats are somehow, they're just able to pull themselves from their bootstraps and take back control.
I mean, what a performance we saw. I mean, Content Cat, the seeded, again, I want to emphasize, seeded 10 is here in grand finals, giving a fight to seed 1. Again, some of the best players in the West. This is an amazing performance from them. And even if they go on to lose these next 3 games, it's a win in their book, to say the least.
I would want to say that, like, Content Cat are basically fighting, they're fighting half of PXG, and yet the other half are still playing the weapon that PXG would be playing. Like, the Bucket is playing Soldier's Bucket, and you have the Zap, they're playing Goss's Zap. So, like, they're practically fighting PXG, and they're taking games against them right now here. Even still, though, Patrick were able to have a very strong chokehold of Mahi Mahi for most of this game here, and they still have the potential to just completely re-wipe it here. If they can get a really strong counter pick, something that can be really good against Bo, really good against something like the Kronos' tent, and they've brought out Flounder.
Interesting. Because in my opinion, I feel like this would favor Content Cat a little bit.
Yeah, you know, a lot of the choke points here are very tent shaped, and Bo already has the ability to arc its shots here, so it could be able to just lay paint down even if they don't have the sight lines.
So it's gonna be really interesting seeing why they chose this map, because at least in our opinion, I feel like this would favor Content Cat a little bit more. But in that case, what are they cooking?
What were they cooking indeed? And if anything, this map mode was the first thing to make Content Cat switch. Are you seeing that 52 deco in the hands of Pika? We're seeing Screen.
It's very uncommon you see Screen, especially at this high of a level, because if anything, it could also be a negative impact on your team. But Pika goes down to the tent shield bomb, and Dembélé is looking to move in here. They have control over the zone here. Hawaiian gets taken out by that blaster. That's going to be huge. They're looking to lock them under the toucher zone. Able to get a pick off to the bucket. That's going to be huge, but they get picked off by the blaster. And it's just deaths going back and forth here. Dembélé hat-trick has control.
They are in control now here. We're seeing Noah with their sight lines. Now that they're advanced, they have a good lookout on the very key hot zones and the choke points right now. Gray also has their splashdown ready to go, but now here comes the Screen. That'll definitely block out whatever sight line that Noah's looking through. And Kronos is moving forward with their tent shield as well, but no, Pika's getting shut down by the bucket. Kronos is trying to keep the zone in control, but with Noah and Ray keeping the zone in their presence, that splashdown also able to take that zone once again here. They're in the 30s, pushing it now to the 20s here. It does not look like Content Cats are just going to be able to step forward.
I just want to note this, even with this, I mean, I guess we were wrong. I guess this map really does favor them. As you can see, I mean, Content Cat hasn't even gotten a chance to cap this under the bucket. Literally just there to force Hawaiian to move away. Just try to limit the area that they have here. The bucket able to try to go in from behind. That blaster comes in there, takes out the Tetris, and that is a wipeout. And with that, they take back the control. And Dembélé hat-trick takes game 2, tying the score 1-1. It's not going to be that easy for Content Cat to win this one. And I just want to note, I just realized what their name is. I just figured it out. It took me a little bit too long to figure that out. Dembélé was the soccer player, or football player for France, and had a really good performance last night. Yeah,
And
literally that.
And PXG are like, I'm pretty sure like are all of them French? Grades from France, soldiers from. Oh, okay, yeah. Like I think like half of like is it half of PXG? Yeah, half of PXG are France, and if anything, that half of PXG are the two playing Noah and Gray. But it is now. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say my whole spiel, but this was Content Cat's counter pick. You already know where we're going.
I mean, you mentioned it last time. I mean, they picked it right away. And it's again a game 3. This is the second time it's been a game 3 counter pick, and I mean, we saw how well they were able to do against Boys Who Cry here, and the question is, can they do that here? If they can take this game, I don't even know what to expect for game 4.
Yeah, I mean, like, what will Dembélé hat-trick bring out for their counter pick? But we still gotta focus for this counter pick right now. Is already the point sensors come out here, and then one thing I also gotta give mention to is just how much of Dembélé hat-trick's comp is focused on vision. You have the wave breaker from the leader and the point sensor from the custom blaster, but right now that don't matter because Gimme just got a double. So, and already Content Cat are moving in. They're sweeping up the picks here. Gimme had gone down. Ooh, Noah's blending that snipe onto Pika, and that's really big. That's basically one half of Content Cat's offensive core, but they're still counting down. And can Gimme spot out that zap? No! They're going to be getting rid of Gimme as well. But will Kronos get the pick? Yes, Kronos will get the pick. The strikes are now coming out from the bucket. The zone is in neutral. That still doesn't matter. Content Cat are capping that anyways.
I mean, what a push we see here. The members of the Dembélé hat-trick filing in there. They need to cap this zone sooner. Content Cat all the way down now into the 20s. It's looking a little grim. 2 down on the side of Dembélé hat-trick, but the blaster comes in from behind.
Great.
Trying to cap the zone. With this blaster coming in, they can't cap the zone though. Pika and Kronos are able to clean it up. Really risky, but they are able to get a pick there. The zap gets taken out there. We see this blaster just apply so much pressure from behind.
Yeah, Gray was just able to stall them just for a little bit. They're able to get rid of Pika. They need to put pain on this zone. The strikes, once again, are not enough. And Content Cat are just able to just not even care about GG specials. They don't care about splashdowns. They don't care about tri-strikes. They don't care about crab tanks. They don't care about anything. They don't care about anything if they're standing on the floors of Wahoo World. This is their domain expansion, and they are winning this game.
I mean, okay, it's getting a little heated now. Content Cat is up 2-1 now. Dembélé hat-trick needs to win these next 2, or we're gonna be going into a bracket reset. But it is going to be Dembélé's counter pick here. So the question is, what are they going to bring in for this next game? I mean, it all comes down. They need to win these next 2 games, or Content Cat. Oh, it's Bluefin.
Bluefin? Really? Okay, well, characteristically, Bluefin is also a really lockout heavy map, and it can also have a lot of good vantage points for Noah to sit on. It doesn't matter if they're on leader or pencil. I think Noah just has a lot of good vantage points to sit on here, and then also I think the bucket as well as Gray can just work around the AoEs here. They can just kind of sit under ledges and then just start ledging them off. And at that point, Content Cat either needs to make the hugest flank known to man or just find a way to push through nonetheless. So now we're going into it. No comp switches. Even still, I was seeing Noah on the leader and Kronos immediately going down. Was that another 10 shield thing?
I don't know if it was, but immediately we see Dembélé hat-trick taking the first pick onto that zone there. Hawaiian actually doesn't go down there. No, Kronos stops him. Kronos getting taken out though, but it's and he fell in the water. Dembélé hat-trick still has control. 2 down on the side of Content Cat. Another goes down there. They're looking to just lock them out here. They're looking to end it right here.
Definitely so, because like you just saw how much time they wasted on Gimme on that flank here, and they were forced to jump back. It's like that flank never even happened. And now I think it's Gray trying to go in for a flank on their own. No, I think Gray is trying to just watch out for is trying to counter flank. Oh no, are they? No, they're just watching for flanks either from Pika or from Gimme. Kronos, once again, Kronos just can't catch a break right now. They're getting picked off anytime they step on the floor. The splashdown and the strikes come out from the bucket as well as from the blaster. And once again, Dembélé hat-trick, they're counting things down. They have not lost control once.
And as you say that, Noah's getting a little heated here. Gimme coming in from behind, trying to cap that zone there. Literally just trying to solo the entire team. Gray has to hold them off, but it doesn't look like they can do so, and Content Cat is able to stop it at death's door. They're able to cap that zoner, giving a 74 penalty to Dembélé hat-trick, but they quickly turn it back here. Kronos struggling to jump away. They can't do so. This leader desperately watching that Tetris to make sure they can't move in.
And what did I say? Noah will always have a vantage point no matter where they sit, whether or not it's on the zone or on the ledge here. They see all, and they are deadly with the scope here, and they're hunting heads right now. And Gray's low here. They were in a slim encounter with Kronos. Now Kronos and Gimme are on the floor. Same thing with Pika here, but even still, they're able to level out the storm right now.
I mean, what a fight here. 3 down on the side of Content Cat. Dembélé hat-trick still picking it up though, and their penalty is getting really low. Content Cat has one more push in them, but their dapples are going to be going down there. Their bow goes down there. It's getting risky with another one going down there. That's going to confirm the game. Dembélé hat-trick takes game 4, and we're going into a game 5.
Oh, I think Content Cat probably hasn't seen a game 5 ever since maybe, what was it, their first set against Boys Who Cry maybe? And at this point, I think we gotta like revisit a question that we probably asked earlier in the Boys Who Cry set. What other counter picks do they have left? Because really, any counter pick that they could also bring out could also be a map that's advantageous towards Dembélé hat-trick here. Like, they don't have Waku World anymore unless they have another. Oh, okay, there's that clip of seeing Yeti drop into the water. Oh, rip.
Shout out the voice in my head for clipping that. Good job. But I mean, even on Death's Door, Content Cat was able to at least stop them for a little bit, delaying the inevitable though. Dembélé hat-trick coming back. They're not letting Content Cat have this so easily. If they're gonna want to win this, they're gonna have to win these next games, and it's gonna be tough for them. And let's see what counter pick we have for our game 5.
We've got Urchin, Matt. We've got Urchin splat zones, and we've been seeing this a lot more recently. I think it's a little bit... I don't even want to say that it's something that's under the radar, because I've been seeing it, like Urchin Zone specifically. I think this one's like a very zones forward map within tournament set lists. And right now, I think this could even benefit both teams, if I'm being real.
Yeah, I think this is a more evener matchup, but I mean, that works. That works, seeing that it's game 5, we're tied up 2-2. Everything goes down to a game on even grounds, but I mean, I do feel like Content Cat, I mean, they have the 10, and 10 pretty much can cover a lot of that zone space, so they're going to be using that to their advantage here, and the question is, can Dembélé hat-trick come back from them? We've seen how well they were able to, I mean, kill Pika with the tent shield with the suction bomb, but we won't talk about that Pika. But let's see. It comes down to this. We're game 5 grand finals. Can Dembélé hat-trick clean it up, or will Content Cat force the bracket reset?
Will a bracket reset be real? I don't even know. And already, we're seeing the Bucket Yeti trying to take some initiative onto Kronos, but they're met with some arrows from Hawaiian. And already the zone is being predominantly blue, and Gimme is just thriving in all the chaos here. And they're jumping down, getting rid of the zap. Gray is forced to jump out. 2 members down on Dembélé hat-trick. Gray has gone down as well. That jump back was not safe, as Gimme is thriving in these chumps, moving forward here. Right, they're already back to placing more beacons for their team. We're seeing Noah drop down the leader to prevent Content Cat from pushing a little bit too far, but that won't stop them. They just go anyways, and Kronos is going to be able to get rid of Yeti, but it's only Hawaiian left, and Hawaiian, they probably need to save their special gauge. Their chumps, they are backing off, and Kronos, the surprise beacon, Pika as well!
And I mean, even with that control, granted, Content Cat takes it right back. They have a 33 penalty, but if anything, that is nothing towards them. We've seen how well they are on lockdown, and it's going to be up to Dembélé hat-trick to find a way back into this zone. It's going to be risky. Their penalty is almost over. They want to gain points. Kronos up on offense, trying to... Oh my lord, there was a 2 with the Zuka. I mean, with the whale. That's going to be crazy. Kronos going down to that zap here. It's getting a little spicy here. Dembélé hat-trick is really looking for an opportunity to move.
that they are doing right now, thanks to the strikes coming out from Yeti, as well as the Zap moving in tandem, and they've gotten rid of Hawaiian. That's a really strong pick, but Pika's going to be able to get rid of the Zap, and Gray is now dueling with Kronos as well as Yeti. It's going to be a 2v2 now that Gimme has been introduced into the fold, getting rid of Gray, and now the Chumps come out from Hawaiian, and now Content Cat are right back into control here, and Gimme is once again stepping on the gas pedal. Yeti has gone down as well, and now it's only Gray and Noah on the field right now.
I mean, this isn't looking good. Pika goes down there. It's going to get a little risky here. They want to play a little bit safer here. That Blaster looking in. They have their splashdown ready. They're going to have to use it to cap that zone here. The zone in neutral. Dembélé hat-trick is able to cap it. The splashdown goes out there, limiting the members of Dembélé. Or no, of Content Cat, because clearly Content Cat is going to be on that wipeout, and Dembélé hat-trick is looking to lock out whatever means necessary. They just need to lock out and take this. Content Cat needs to think of a way into this map or it's over.
Oh, they were grouping up so hard, and when people group up, that is where a blaster like Gray can thrive in. Same thing with the Zap as well in tandem with them. The Chumps come out, but unfortunately those won't be hitting zone, and it's not even going to affect them, and they've spotted Gimme on the flank as well, and Dembélé hat-trick are now approaching the 20 threshold. They could be able, I think they're going to be able to take this lead as they're now pushing the mid-20s into the team. They gotten rid of Pika, and this Zap is thriving in Content Cat's core here. They're in the single digits. Content Cat need to touch the zone now, and they're 2 members down. Hawaiian is low. They go down, and
that is
a bracket reset. The bracket reset isn't real, Matt.
The bracket reset isn't real. Content Cat, that was their 9th life, I guess. It's over. Dembélé hat-trick puts an end to Content Cat's winning streak, taking in the zone number 52. With a 3-2 Game 5 win in Grand Finals.
And I think that's what I was also, like, we were saying this earlier, it's like, at this point, I'm not really, like, at this point, Content Cat, I'm not sure, like, if they were able to kind of, like, excel on any specific map mode, because apparently, because, like, any other map mode that they could pick could have been another map mode that Dembélé could have thrived in here, and that they did on Urchin here, but whoa, we still gotta give credit where credit is due for Content Cat. Their run this entire set has been crazy. They took Seed 1 to Game 5 here, and they gave them a show.
I mean, they really did. I mean, they had so many sets against so many good teams here, and fighting until the end against a team like Dembélé hat-trick, still even just taking 2 games off of them. Incredible by them, and they fought all the way until the end, but it just barely was not enough, and Dembélé hat-trick was able to put a stop to them, and it just shows how strong Dembélé hat-trick is. It shows how much power they have as a team together, and with that, with a 3-2 to close it out, that is the end of In the Zone number 52. Congratulations, Dembélé, for that 3-2 win.
And with that, it is now time for us to sign off. So before we do that, Matt, where can the good people of Twitch chat find you?
You can find me anywhere at Matthew Mega. For any of my LAN goers, you'll see me at Gridlock. In the next 2 weeks, I'll be there live commentating. I'm going to be doing a lot of commentating for that lately. But Frostix, where can they find you?
Of course, you can find me on social media at frostix.bluesky.social, and my Twitter is TK_Frostix. And for my LAN goers, specifically in Toronto, I'm going to be at this week's Squid Social, which is literally tomorrow. I'm going to be commentating that, and also Gommel 2026, which is going to be at the end of next month. I will maybe be commentating that as well. So thank you to everyone who have showed up to this week's In the Zone. Shoutouts to Dark and Sasu for commentating the first block. This has been us from Dapple Productions, and we will see you next